Heyo, welcome to Jammin' on Comics with Krisis and Freddie. I'm Omnidog, joined by this direction. Freddie, how are you doing? Freddie doesn't
Hey,
know. Freddie, do you know how you're doing? Or Freddie doesn't know?
I think I'm okay.
Up,
Oh,
Krisis had to leave because he's frozen already.
yay.
He's struggling with his laptop and needs a new one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, and there's Krisis.
Hey,
There you go.
looking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You know, my computer heard me saying I might replace it, and now it's like, oh, you think you can replace me? So, now it's bringing drama.
Um,
Wow. Um, yeah, Chris. I'll be seeing Chris at Heroes Con. What up, Chris? Fernando, hi. James, I'll be seeing at Heroes. Very important question for Krisis and Freddie. Do you know who Wishbone is? If you're a 90s kid, you should know who Wishbone is, but I don't know if Puerto Rican TV carried PBS and
yeah,
or Wishbone. Do you have PBS?
I mean, we had network TV and cable, just like.
I don't know. I'm not asking if you had donuts.
I
I'm
know.
saying, did you see Wishbone on PBS?
Yeah, and there was also PBS in Spanish, which I didn't watch, but a lot of my contemporaries did.
And do you know who Wishbone is?
No, I was not a PBS kid. Giving you shit for nothing.
Wow, we went a long way to get that answer. Right, Krisis, do you remember Wishbone at all?
Wishbone is the title of the forthcoming album by Conan Gray that is on our thumbnail today.
Okay. Wait, let me look at my thumbnail.
That is like news to me.
Yeah, Krisis made it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Which one is?
It's kind of like right below our little faces. There's like a person leaping through the air, and I've been listening to his single a lot, and so he made it into my recent faves. No, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay.
I feel like that's the actual theme we carry every month. What are we talking about?
Well, who's the woman in the red hard hat?
That's Chapel Roan.
Oh, it is. Okay. And how about the young lady with the black hair and the tats?
Oh, I'll be proselytizing about her today. She's Remy
wait.
Wolf, who I listen to nonstop. Anytime, if it's 30 minutes before a stream, I am dancing around my bathroom to Remy Wolf. Guaranteed, every single time.
Oh, you even got Danger Street on there? Wow, that must have been painful for you to do. X23, I see. Smiths, nice. Red Sonja, Superman. I think I own Kiss number 8, but I can't remember if I read it. I think I read it with Kristen.
Yeah, I think you must have.
Yeah.
I enjoy this period where Omnidog expresses surprise over the thumbnail, which we spent the last 12 hours discussing.
It might have
and that no one can see right now, but that's okay.
I mean,
it's okay.
I can share it.
You could share it. That would be context and content.
Okay.
To be fair, I think I talked about it and just immediately put it on the stream.
That's good. Okay. Here it is. This is what our thumbnail looks like. And
Very nice.
And James, apparently they do not know about Wishbone. I watched Wishbone religiously with my daughter on PBS. Wishbone is a little Jack Russell Terrier, and he enacts famous stories throughout history, and they interweave it with a lesson for the single mom and the son's two friends. They interweave the Wishbone enacting like Romeo and Juliet, and they weave it into the modern day story that Joe and his mom are going through. And it is such a sweet, lovely show, but it must have cost a ton of dosh because the production values on that show were really high. And you had like a voiceover actor for the dog, and the dog was incredibly trained, and all these actors acting out not only the main story, but then the like Treasure Island they do, and the Treasure Island would be really, it'd be really true to form. So I I wonder if it was James. Was it half an hour or an hour? I feel like it must have. It feels like it must have been an hour.
Your
Yes.
yeah. I was gonna,
Aiden remembers it. Nice. Ryan, welcome. Nice. Yes, Fernando knows. Right on, man. Matt, what's up? Yep, that's the song that would get us demonetized. Good morning, Samantha Jane. Is it morning there?
It is.
Okay. Oh, this is good trivia. Planet 628. According to the most recent Action Comics, June 18th is the day Superman's ship fell to Earth. Well, this should be a national holiday also.
right.
Ship fell to Earth. But wait, I had okay, so we talked about Wishbone. Yoink. Now we're talking about the thumbnail. I see X-23 up there in the top. I read that and Danger Street, and now you guys mentioned the Prince and the dressmaker. So
we've got to turn Jess onto that. I feel like
yeah.
Jess would really enjoy
what is that?
It's a book by First Second. It is absolutely gorgeous. I have it right here.
See, that one, you have the hardcover, and I
do have the
back,
hardcover.
and then the other one we are the other way. I love it so much. I read it
by
out loud, cover to cover with Kid Krisis. We both love it. We're constantly stealing it from each other's rooms to read it again.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's by Jess Wang. It's literally about a prince that wants to wear dresses, and it is amazing. There's a little bit of a friendship romance going on, which will intrigue a lot of people, because even though we pretend we don't like this stuff, like, that's really the drama behind a lot of our favorites.
What you don't like? What, romance?
Yeah, we're like, yeah, let's get some action, and then it's like, oh, the romance story is the thing that's hooking me, like, to keep going.
I love his iconic nose.
Yeah,
As
the
if
nose
nobody
is-
knows he is
cool
who he
nose.
is in the dress with that
Yeah.
nose. There's not a lot of people in the kingdom with that nose.
Yeah, he's not gonna fool too many people.
Well, he did though, because he does makeup and
Well, he wears like a wide brimmed hat or something, right?
one of the dresses.
Okay. Wow, that's like from Hunger Games when she wears the dress that like lights up and sends the Mockingjay. Okay.
The reason I really love it is it's not like a message book, really.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the prince is wearing a dress, like clearly there's some implied message in there, but I was expecting it to be a very textual story about drag or being trans or being queer, and it's kind of just like about like, what if somebody wants to wear a dress, which I am totally equipped and ready to talk about all of those textual themes with Kid Krisis, and we do in many books, but I kind of thought that it was like charming that it's really just about how he wants to wear dresses, and you can read all of those other layers into it if you want, or it can just be a story about a guy who likes to wear dresses, and that is all available to you on the spectrum of expression. You do not need to commit to any one point of it. So I think that's why I found it so charming as a boy who did enjoy wearing not dresses, but like, you know, frilly girl clothes sometimes, that I'm like, yeah, sometimes you just want to wear frilly clothes.
Okay. Yeah, that's also one of my favorite things. Like, you know, it's not a trans story, it's not a drag story, it's whatever you put into it, and it's very remarkable and well thought out by Jen Wang.
Yeah, I love it. It's so charming.
And on that note, have you seen Pee-wee as himself, the documentary?
No, I want to.
Oh, you have to, because as we all know, Pee-wee does his iconic dance in high heels, and there is
Tequila.
tequila. So there's they talk about a lot of his childhood growing up and his expression of gender that he had through college. And part of it makes me feel kind of happy and sad knowing, oh, if we were in a different time, maybe Paul Rubens wouldn't have been Paul forever. So there's a lot of talk about, you know, expression, like physical. You know, like at one point, he uses a very common term now, wasn't common then, of passing.
Oh, it was still common then, but it wasn't as mainstreamed.
If I know it,
Yeah.
it was anything I know like that is from back then. So yeah.
Okay.
But wait, was he passing? What was he passing?
Well, I'm not gonna spoil. You have to
Okay.
watch. It's such
You
a
can't
great
spoil a
documentary.
documentary, Freddie. It actually
I
happened.
really can. I really can because Paul Rubens was a very, and this is part of the reason why the documentary is so good. He was such
Nope.
point. He basically gives up his entire like persona as Paul Rubens and decides to just become Pee Wee. Like
Right,
I'm
and
just
that
going.
part I know, having read articles about it and stuff. Like, basically, he was totally out and queer in college.
Well, yeah.
He was in a dedicated relationship, and it's kind of like, okay, well, to be a children's television star in the
And this
1980s,
before being children.
yeah, before that, but then to be that, you could not have that in the 80s, and so he basically went back into the closet, except for into his very, very small personal circle. And that can't be a spoiler because I already know it from reading about Paul Rubens. So,
About
but yeah, I really am
why-
excited to see it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the show was, but it was like during the afternoon,
Mhm.
and it was growing up. Well, not growing up. It started in the 80s, so I was sort of grown up. But it was before he had his morning TV show, and it was before he had like his HBO special and his movies and stuff. So he was on a talk show with the like one. It wasn't like Johnny Carson or anything. It was like in the afternoon on PBS,
Mhm.
and Pee Wee was a guest, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was a guest, and Pee Wee was Pee Wee, and Arnold had never seen him before as like this character Pee Wee, and I just watched it, and I was mesmerized by how uncomfortable Arnold was and how hilarious Pee Wee was. I mean, Pee Wee was just cracking me up with his laugh
Yeah.
and commitment to the bit. I was like, who is this? And then I feel like maybe I saw his HBO show before his movies and stuff.
Yeah,
was like,
he did a lot of Letterman as well.
right. And he had like a Broadway show that became like an HBO special.
Yeah, that he had a touring show. Like it used to be on, I can't remember right now the stage that it was on. But when he decided that he wanted to have like a film career as Pee Wee, like his manager basically tells him, "Oh, hey, you gotta show people that your weird thing will sell tickets, so you gotta go on tour." So that's what he tour, and then afterwards, it became a movie. Like it got greenlit for a movie.
Yeah. He went. I remember he was on Saturday Night Live like
Yes,
in
yes.
1984, 1985. So he must have already been nationally known by that point. So maybe the interview I saw was like 82. It was just an amazing thing.
Yeah, I think he might have done Larry King as well. Like I know he
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Larry. It was definitely.
no, because he did a lot. Like so I think one of the first things he like, if I'm remembering well, one of the first things he did on television was CNN before it became CNN as it is now.
Oh yeah,
So that must have been a very weird thing to see.
yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of Letterman.
CNN didn't really become a big network until the first Gulf War. That's when it became, in 1990, when the first Gulf War, that's when it became a big deal. Otherwise, nobody was paying attention to national news. They only wanted their local news. And that's so it was a half-hour show. That's Wishbone.
Wishbone, yeah. 50 episodes and one movie. From
Yeah,
95
I
to
haven't
97.
my daughter and I haven't seen the movie, so we must. She's blown away. Oh, here's for context to this, Matt is constantly changing his picture, his profile pic, and in that you can see me as Gio and I streamed Mario Party Superstars last night on Omnibros, and I won, and then Gio's in the background there as Donkey Kong. I think I was Rosalina. She's a new character to me, but everybody knew. But I won, and so Matt is helping me celebrate by making this. Well, Matt, do you want to change your profile pic to what you showed in the chat last night with me and Gio as Mario and Luigi? That was great. Of course I know Hunger Games. I saw the movies. I love the movies. I didn't read the books, though.
No.
Prince and Dressmaker is precious, says Chris.
Yeah, I went the opposite of Hunger Games. I loved the books. As soon as the movie came out, I was very excited. First movie comes out, I'm starting watching it, and the first thing it gives me is a bunch of paragraphs and text to read, and I'm just out of it at that point. I'm like, I came here to watch the book, not to read, like to watch the movie, not to read the book again.
Did you walk out on Star Wars too?
No, that's different. That's different. Star Wars wasn't a book. Star Wars was different, and you could also not read it.
Okay.
Like the text scroll, you could ignore it, and I usually did until I got bigger.
Eric says Pee-wee as himself is fantastic. I definitely do want to watch it. Adored Paul Reubens and Pee-wee. I did too.
Yeah.
Javi, the new Avengers 1 that came out last week was very fun to read. I'm looking forward to that series. Is that the one Jed McKay is writing? The new Avengers #1?
Oh,
I'm 4 weeks behind on pull list right now, so I only know what's true as of May 14th.
I think so. I think it got renumbered. Like everything got renumbered right now.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I think it's still Jed McKay.
Hello to Remy. A little late. Yeah, glad to have you here. Peter DeLuca asking, hearing pretty much everybody say Birds of Prey is a must-buy. Just curious, what makes the story so good? I will turn that over to resident, eloquent, English-speaking Kiwi, and that would be Krisis. Krisis can tell you why Birds of Prey is awesome. All I would say is the writing is great, the characters are great, and the art is great. But let Peter tell you a little more. Peter can he's more eloquent than I am.
Well, first, let's put a pin in that Avengers comment. So
Yeah.
last week, New Avengers #1 came out, which is kind of sort of a Thunderboltsy spin on New Avengers because it has Bucky and Black Widow in the lead, but it has a very unlikely team of Carnage, which if you're reading right now is not the Carnage you're used to, Wolverine as Laura Kinney, Hulk and some other characters in it. So it's a little bit of a Thunderboltsy New Avengers, but also another Avengers #1 that came out, I believe, last week was the first ever print version of Avengers Academy, which is usually a digital-only comic that launched last year by Anthony Oliveira, which is one of my favorite Marvel comics. So I hope people picked up that #1 as well. So now on to Birds of Prey. You know, I think the thing is, I'm not a classic Birds of Prey fan. I've read very, very little pre-Flashpoint Birds of Prey because I've read very, very little pre-Flashpoint DC comparatively. Kelly Thompson to me is just such an already iconic and legendary writer, still relatively early in her career, and it's because she really expresses the specific voices of her characters, especially in a team book. It never feels like everybody's interchangeable. It feels like all of their specific characters have a motivation, but she also knows how to make things funny. And if you've read her Hawkeye of Kate Bishop, if you've read her West Coast Avengers, you know that without being known as like a laugh out loud comedy author, which I think Chip Zdarsky is known as, although he's got range, Kelly Thompson brings the jokes. And I think the first issue of Birds of Prey, which came out in 2023, it was a perfect first issue script. All of the characters are expressed perfectly, and it was riotously funny. And she's really maintained that over the course of the series and has really made it a good showcase of everybody that's in it, especially Cassandra Cain as Batgirl. And it's kind of funny because there is a Batgirl series out right now written by Tate Brombol, but it's like on the same release week, as DC always keeps things the same week every month, as Birds of Prey. And every month it's like, well, Birds of Prey is kind of the Batgirl book. So I don't know why you have a Batgirl book out the same week as Birds of Prey. But yeah, it's just, I don't know how else to say it. It's incredibly well written. It's very, very funny. The characters have clear motivations. I will say the first arc goes on a little overlong, but there's definitely a course correction after that with quicker stories. And also I think the interplay between Cass Cain and Big Barda is really, really delightful.
Little,
you know, it's not just the same Oracle and Black Canary matchup as always. They're there and they're kind of in the mix, but I think it's the different character combinations that are making it really charming, which I think is something that Gail Simone originally brought to Birds of Prey when she kind of expanded the cast more and more over the course of her run.
Barda calling Cass Little Bad.
Yes, Little Bad.
Little Bad.
Adorable, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think the other thing is I don't think she intends to do it, but there's always like a sort of a found family element to her team books that's just delightful.
Oh, that's a good point.
And also, that was all about the writing, but the art and especially the coloring has been fantastic. I talk about this a lot on my stream, but Jordi Belair, who kicked it off, did this beautiful thing with slightly off registration cover colors. So everything sort of looked a little bit fuzzy, a little bit stereoscopic, a little bit 70s. And when Adriano Lucas took over in the teens, at first it had that very clean, ultra saturated look that Adriano Lucas brings to all of the books that he colors. But on this current arc, he's kind of brought back a little hint of that fuzziness at the edge of the colors, which on Sami Basri, who's an artist I really enjoy, had a long run on Harley Quinn. I just think it looks really, really brilliant. So I'm just a big supporter of it. It's one of my favorite books. And definitely give the first trade a try. I very rarely have Kid Krisis read current comics because I just don't think they're as good, and I have a whole history of old comics already in the room. But we actually got that book that's on the thumbnail out from the library and for her to read, and she loved it.
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
I have this so I can show you some of that off kind of register art. Let me, you can walk us through it here, but how it's different.
Yeah, it's so hard to explain, but there's a certain fuzziness at the edge of the lines because there's a little bit of like almost like a deliberate misalignment of some of the colors. And so, like, you can kind of see it on Harley there, where, like, she's a little bit... It's hard to see without reading it yourself. But, yeah, there's always, like, a little bit of, like, a fuzziness to the edge of the colors. And it just gives it a little bit of a vintage feel that helps it almost feels like it's from the 70s. Sort of like when they used to do those Deadpool flashback issues in the Deadpool 2012-2013 volume by... Jerry Duggan. Yeah, there's almost like a softness to a lot of the edges the way they're colored. And I love it. It's not for everybody, but it really, really works for me.
Oh, it's for me. I really dug this book, and I also dug the next book, which I think this is the one that's in the thumbnail, right?
No, I think it's the other one just with
No, it's
you
the
have
other
like a
one.
special cover.
Yeah, you have different cover.
DM only cover.
cover.
Also, Leonardo Romero, I think, is the primary artist at the beginning. Of course, Kelly Thompson collaborated with previously on Hawkeye.
Right. Okay. And so this is the art in volume 2, which I enjoyed, and it's, it's different than the first arc, but it's still, and it also brought in new characters to the team. Harley dropped out, and then they brought in new characters, so I really like that.
Kelly said this wonderful thing when Omar interviewed her a few months ago, or maybe it was even the last year interview. All of her interviews on Near Mint Condition are outstanding. They're so funny. She says, Harley has weight as a character where she kind of she's like a black hole in your plot. Not like in a negative way, but she has gravity of her own that just pulls all of the attention towards her, pulls the focus towards her, pulls the jokes towards her. And Kelly Thompson kind of realized early on, as much as she loved writing Harley, she couldn't have her in the team permanently because she just pulls focus too much for this iteration of Birds of Prey, which she wanted to keep centered on initially Black Canary and Batgirl, but then also, Oracle, but then also Big Barda and Batgirl. She kind of found those characters. And I thought that was really interesting, this idea that certain writers are kind of aware that certain characters pull so much focus on the page. Not only that fans will buy because of them, but because they're just so watchable, they're so readable that you have to kind of be cautious with that and like not overuse them.
Yeah, Jimmy Palmiotti said the exact opposite earlier, but in a different context. Like, I'll clear. He was talking about his Harley book, and he was talking about how it found success, and it was because he took Harley away from Gotham, because precisely that all the Gotham characters and all the Bat characters become a black hole around Harley.
Yeah.
And she has that same effect with other characters that are outside of Gotham, which I think is what makes her such a unique character in these circumstances. Like, I get why she's like the Wolverine of DC, that everybody wants a piece of her, everybody wants to use her, because she's just brings something there, but at the same time, like, you have to be very careful because your book isn't Birds of Prey, it's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Right, exactly. It quickly turns into Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Kenny was talking to us about Captain Marvel and her Black Widow, which are both great, and Wayne asking if he can have all of our opinions on Captain Marvel run, please.
Wait, where was that?
It's at 6:30.
6:30. Oh my gosh, I'm already. Matt H. How is Birds of Prey? I was just looking at those 3 trades. You just heard us, so I know you must now want it completely because your wife will love it.
Yeah, like I won't say obviously no book is for everyone, but Kelly Thompson has this mass appeal. Like all her books, I think, if you're open to reading modern books, if you're not like, oh, everything new is crap, you know, she's gonna get you somewhere. You're gonna love it because she has so many distinct characters. She has so much humor and action and the flow of how the entire story is going. Like something's going to get you, and then everything is going to just like consume you at one point.
Is this the comment?
No, well, that was
Wait,
one of the comments, yeah.
what
But
what did
the
you say was the comment?
the question was following from the BOP. That's Logan Wayne.
Logan. Okay. Here we go. Can I
Yeah.
ask you all for your opinions on Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel 1, please? If you've read it, of course. Since I have the least to add to it, as my descriptions suck, you think I'd be better
No.
after 8 years of having a channel? I will just say I loved it. Um, there is a lot going on because
Yeah.
there's a lot going on because both Marvel and DC do this. When it's a major character like Captain Marvel, um, Kelly Thompson writes her really well, very interesting, but there's also a lot of bleed through from other comics, not even events, but things happening in other comics. Like, don't remember this? See Amazing Spider-Man 35, your editor. It's typical. There's about 40 of those per issue. So you sort of have to just tune that out and just go, okay, that happened.
Yeah.
And just sort of accept it because I've enjoyed Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, but I love Kelly Thompson's run, but it does suffer from that thing that Marvel and DC do. I feel like Marvel was doing it more at the time.
Yeah.
And that is refer to other comics where this thing happened that they're referring to. But I enjoyed it on its own a lot. Like I would completely recommend. You could read it. I didn't know anything. Well, I did read Kelly Sue DeConnick's, but I knew who sort of Captain Marvel was. So I think it would be a fine place to start. Maybe you'd rather start with Kelly Sue DeConnick's and then go. I think Kelly Sue DeConnick's is cleaner in that it doesn't have that other issue bleed through.
Yeah,
If you know
because
what I'm talking about.
the original I don't want to say the original, the first Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel is by Kelly Sue DeConnick when she transfers from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel, and that's when she takes like really the center stage. And I think there's two runs of that in the omnibus. Like it restarts from number one and it completely changes. The second run is to me much cleaner, much better. What you're saying, the first one has some of that problem where Kelly Sue's trying to like align with what's going on in one of the Avengers runs, and it even crosses over at the end. But yeah, you could definitely. Kelly Thompson is really good at when she does those crossovers, as well as Chip Zdarsky. Like when they're both like, "Oh, we're referring to something that just happened in another comic." They don't make it so you have to go read it in order to know what's going on. Like you can just as easily read it and accept it, because we've all read issues where we're like, "What the crap? What?"
X-Men.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, I don't want to say that all her books are the same because they're really not. But she shares some quality with Tom King, where if you read Mr. Miracle and then you read well, now I'm forgetting the title. The other
Human Target.
no, the one before that one, the other 12 issue.
Other 12 issue.
Like let's say Vision. They both share a lot of themes, and but they're not the same book at all. The mission statement of that book is completely different, even though it shares. And that's what I found with Captain Marvel and Birds of Prey, as well as her other long going things like Hawkeye to West Coast Avengers, where she's really great at that one character and focusing on that one character. But there's something that really seems to like attract Kelly Thompson to like a sort of like a found family and a team, because as you keep reading Captain Marvel, suddenly she starts developing this huge supporting cast, and it's not in any way bad or detriment to what's going on. Like you're just in it. Like suddenly you care about Hazmat. So a character
If you have
that,
not always cared about Hazmat, I
well,
don't know how to.
well,
I don't
a
know how
lot
to
of
talk to you. I love Hazmat.
oh, I love Hazmat, but a lot of people haven't read Avengers Academy.
That's true. That's
If
true.
you see her in the background, you see just a girl called Hazmat wearing a hazmat suit. You're like,
And you're like, is
okay,
that somebody
Marvel.
from AIM? Why are they all in yellow?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I have a very succinct opinion on those two Captain Marvel runs, which is that I think Kelly Sue DeConnick's run establishes Carol's voice as Captain Marvel. I think
Yeah.
she had a very inconsistent voice over the years, even in her Brian Reed series. And but the adventures are kind of forgettable. Like, I can't really tell you any plot that happened in all of the Kelly Sue DeConnick series, although I loved it very much. Whereas the Kelly Thompson series, I think, has a little bit more of an anonymous voice for Carol, and I think that was getting to be a problem for Kelly Thompson on the Marvel side, that her heroines started to have somewhat samey voices. But I think the adventures are very memorable. I could tell you at least 5 different arcs that happened. So I really think that Kelly Thompson added some really distinct enemies. It got away from like always Carol losing her powers or always her fighting Mystique, which kind of felt like it was the case for a long time. She made a great use of Vox, who was an enemy in the Death of the Inhumans, but made him kind of like a Carol enemy. A really great use of Enchantress, a really great use of Radioactive Man. And so I just felt like the book had much more distinct arcs and tangible, defined stories compared to the Kelly Sue DeConnick. They're both great. I think you don't have to read them in order. I don't know that Kelly Sue DeConnick's establishes anything that you're going to be with, desperately without. And I think, to then volley back to Jess, I don't know that it's a negative thing that Kelly Thompson's run kind of references some things that happens in the Marvel Universe, but that's coming from me, who's like, if I get a book that doesn't reference things in the rest of the universe, I'm like, this is garbage, throw it away. So I come at a book from a very different perspective. I liked that it was like, ooh, this is happening at the same time Spider-Woman is doing this. Ooh, this is has Vox from Death of the Inhumans. Like, to me, that's why I read Shared Universe. So like that was an attractive element of the run for me.
But even then, sometimes like a book will go into an event and you're kind of tricked into thinking, oh, I have to read the event. You don't need to read Empire. Like when Captain Marvel reaches. So what you.
Is Freddie going in and out for you?
Yeah.
Or is that my internet?
Yeah, no, it's Freddie.
Oh, I'm.
You're frozen right now. Oh, okay, now you're not frozen, but you dipped out after you said nobody needs to read Empire or whatever.
No, I didn't say that. Empire is
Well, that's
a
what
great
we heard.
event. I'm saying that if you're reading the Captain Marvel run, once it reaches the big event, you don't need to like go to the big event to understand what's going on. And I think a lot of books, like titles, try to trick you that way. And I think it's a great event, and everybody should read it.
Okay. Let's see. What's
I should have brought that for this video.
Safar, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Avengers equals New Avengers, different book. Wait, I forget my math. Is that doesn't equal? Equal?
Yeah, it doesn't equal. No,
Doesn't equal New Avengers. Thank you.
Matt,
Different book. Avengers still going. This is a new different title. The New Avengers. Yes, it's confusing. Okay. And Sam Humphries is writing something. Must be New Avengers.
New Avengers,
Yes.
which I love. Yeah, he's
Okay. Here's Super Omni Brother. That's me and Gio as Mario and Luigi. I thought this was really good.
it's adorable.
I've heard, Jessica, she and I talked about this last Saturday. She loves the new Supergirl. And I've read recent, I haven't read Action by Mark Waid, but I do like Superman by Josh Williamson. And here's Marcelo. Welcome. Is Is this us that you're excited to watch, Chris? Is this the
What panel do you want to? What do you think he's talking about? A comic panel that we've shown? What other panel would he be talking about?
Yeah, I hope it's us. The colors threw Marcelo off personally. I'd also like to mention I loved Mr. and Mr. and Mrs. Mixelplix, Mr. and Mrs. X, and Rogan Gambit, which led into Mr. and Mrs. X.
Yeah.
I love that book. I would be happy to rebuy that as an Omni, as a matter of fact. And your wife likes some good books, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogan Gambit, nice.
Listen, if she's already into Kelly Thompson, you might as well just get her
Go all the way.
Yeah, go all the way. Get her even the prose books that Kelly Thompson wrote before her comic career.
I was just reorganizing my bookshelf last night and was paging through those. And her indie side. I mean, I think we've talked about every Kelly Thompson book there is to talk about because we're all three of us. I mean, she's the best. For my money, I will make a bold statement. Although I don't know if we could call it a hot take. I think she's the best writer in comic books. I just think her failure list is so small. I mean, if you don't like her stylistically, that's fine. You don't have to like everybody. But in terms of things that just haven't really hit, I think just her Deadpool really, and it was fine. It just didn't like go over like gangbusters. And I think part of that was just, I think in retrospect, people are enjoying it more, but it just didn't like hit as solidly at the time. But her track record is impeccable. There's like no book that's not a banger in her bibliography. And there's very, very few people that you can say about that right now who are writing multiple titles a month, you know? I wish, I mean, and she's the co-creator and singular writer of Jeff.
Yes.
Right here, dude.
Oh, dude, look at him. He's so cute.
What? And we fell off. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I love Birds of Prey. Big Barda was so funny. She is funny. And that's so good. When you can make Big Barda funny, make Big Barda funny. That is a good, that's a good writer.
I love anyone that makes a serious or grumpy character funny. Like immediately, I know you're good.
Yeah. Oh, here's Lars Pinot Noir of choice. Good evening. Okay. Good to see you.
Thank you for your presence, Lars.
I thought Harley was awesome during Tinian's Batman run. I thought so too. I agree with this, and I'm going to make a video on Tinian's Batman run. I thought she also Harley did well. Stephanie Phillips wrote her well in the aftermath of the Joker War. But yeah, I agree that Harley was great in that.
I love Tinian's Batman run so much. It was just it's so weird. I think people sometimes think I just have hot takes to have hot takes. Like it's actually the opposite. I am reading in a vacuum, and I think I get so sure of things, and I sometimes I haven't even talked to the two of you while I'm reading something. It's not until after I'm done. So I get so sure of my opinion. Then I come onto the internet, and like I often find that people just totally disagree with me, positive or negative, because I loved Tinian's Bat. I was obsessed with Tinian's Batman. It was the title that really solidified for me that I actually do like Batman, because before that I was really struggling with like, maybe I just hate Batman, maybe Batman's boring. And then I got online expecting people to be like, whoa, this is amazing, I'm so happy King is over and Tinian's happening now, I want Tinian to write Batman forever. And people were like grumbling about it, and I was like, okay. And the same thing happened to me with Zdarsky Batman, where I read the first couple of trades to catch up last year, and all I knew was that Melanie from Near Mint Condition loved it. So I was like, Melanie, this is amazing. And then I like got online and started seeing the reviews, and everybody was saying it was terrible. It was awful. Get Chip Zdarsky off Batman. So you know what? I always say, form your own opinion in your own vacuum, in your own void, while you can, before you get exposed to what the group think on everything is. And I know you're here partially to hear our opinions, so like, you know, we've already lost that battle. But I just think, you know, just read the book. Just read the book. Read the book, interrogate the comic, you know, decide what you feel about the art, the lettering, the colors, the writing, and form your opinion before you decide, like, well, people don't really like it. Because what do people know? People don't know anything.
Well, see, that's the conflict that I... earlier in our chat, I was saying, you know...
Freddie, you're dropping out a lot.
I'm dropping...
Yeah.
I want to start filling in when he says I'm dropping. I'm going to be dropping like it's hot, of course, as I always do. Like I just want to start to do like a lip dub of him.
We're gonna start rumors with when you start dropping out.
Yeah, well, I'm right next to the internet, so I really don't know what's going on.
Is the internet, as a fellow person who lives on an island, is your internet so fragile that if the crab walks over the internet line under the sea, your whole internet goes out? Because that's what it's like here.
No, it's sensitive. In the power can go out in at any time. But
that I know about Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was saying? What was I saying? Oh, we were talking.
You're dropping it like it was hot.
Again?
No, you're okay right now. So get it out quick.
Okay. So I was saying earlier in the chat, like, I'm just gonna wait until like a book finishes, all the reactionary opinions come out, and then things start settling down before I decide to like listen to like a group. And what I was saying, like, you remember last video I did with Jess was with Max, and Cliff joined, and Cliff is.
Cliff is the love of my life, and sorry, continue.
Yeah, I love Cliff. No, really. I immediately when I first saw Cliff on
ever. Fill in for Freddie.
when I saw Cliff on Just's channel the first time, I was like, oh, I want to do a video with him. But the caveat is, he's a very negative person in terms of modern comics and of course Tom Cruise. But that's for the people that watch.
The Tom Cruise rant is like one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Really amazing.
Sorry. Okay, back to Freddie while his internet's working.
Yeah, but I feel like at least with Jess and with you as well, Peter. When you guys are about something, I know you
love each other as much as possible.
Exactly. You want to enjoy books. You love the medium. You want it to be the best, and unfortunately, it didn't get you. And sometimes they need to be root beered.
Yeah, those are few and far between now.
Exactly. And they were few and far between at the time as well.
Well, yeah. I think one thing that's good about the fact that I don't do any social media generally. I don't find out after I read, I knew going into Tinian's like one or two opinions of people around me that told me that, but I didn't read like a wall of hatred on Twitter or wherever else you get your
hatred, whatever serves your fresh, hot, piping hot hatred these days.
Yeah. And I love Zdarsky's Batman, and I know Marcelo has probably already said that in the chat because he does not like Zdarsky's Batman. I find out more in the chat of my live shows what people think of runs. Like the typical is like Tinian was meh, or Marcelo saying I hate Zdarsky's Batman, whatever. And then I don't have like a ton of people saying it, so there's still room for me to make have my own impression of the book. And I really like Tinian's, and I really like Zdarsky's Batman. Of course, I loved Tom King's Batman too. So but I have read Batman that is not good.
Yeah.
Any Batman, Batman Damned, Batman.
What, the Batwang wasn't enough for you, Jess? How much more can he give you?
Come on, Jess.
Not particularly care for that one.
A city at the center of the earth, Jess? Come on.
Have you read Batman Off-World yet by Jason Aaron and
No.
Is it Doug Mankey? Have you
What's
read that
Doug
one
Mankey?
yet?
No, I haven't read it.
Batman Off-World.
Oh, I just got it in. Yeah.
I think you're going to really like it. I'm very curious to see what you think about it.
Good. Yeah.
I think you're going to like it even more than I did, and I liked it pretty good.
Yeah, Batman Odyssey is another one that was pretty rough.
I often think that, people come at comics and at creative media a lot of times from like a feast or famine standpoint. Like they're either looking for the benefit or they're looking for the detraction.
Yeah.
And I am somebody much like Cliff who like I tend to be. I'm like already deducting points. I'm like the I'm a judge at a figure skating competition who's like they didn't quite nail the triple falcal. Like I'm already falcal. I'm already deducting as soon as I get to a page where I'm like, that dialogue balloon wasn't that good. But that's just the way that I approach things. And so I think sometimes with like a Zdarsky or a Tynion, because they're so strong on craft and they attract such good artists, in the micro sense, I don't like see as many reasons to be like, well, that was dumb, well, that was stupid, well, that was a bad idea, well, that panel looked gawky. And so I don't accumulate tick marks against them. Whereas if somebody is somebody who's like a little bit more inconsistent or somebody who takes bigger swings like Sperrier, I will like deduct points much faster on them. But that's just the way that I approach things. Where I always get the feeling with you're reading a book and you're just waiting to be delighted. And like you can get through a whole book, and if it doesn't delight you, you didn't hate it. It just never delighted you. But like you're almost starting from the middle, and every little bit of delight you get like increases how much you love the book. So it feels like it's much harder to get you to start deducting points. That's always my feeling of the way you talk about books.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate description. Yeah, I go into it, maybe more than neutral, but yeah, that sounds like an accurate description. It takes a lot. I mean, I just ranked a bunch of books that I read. Finally, I had 6 months worth of books on Goodreads that I finally had to say, oh yeah, I finished them and I give them this many stars. There are a couple of 2-star, 1-star books in there, and I realized that I've given out too many 5 stars in the past, like last year and the year
it can't
before.
be more than like 5 or 10% in total, or else your whole bell curve goes out the window.
Yeah.
Let Jess rate how he wants. He
no, everybody has to have a bell curve. I don't trust anybody without a bell. It doesn't always have to be centered on 2.5. It can be centered on 3 or centered on 3.5. But if there's not a bell curve, I don't trust your ratings.
No. But
if there's too many at one side or the other, then that's not ratings. In my world, there's got to be something that's better and something that's middle and something that's worse. That's what ratings are.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, Jess. But
yes, you do.
Also, yeah. I
I almost got him.
Yeah, sometimes you're reacting very much at the moment, which is what we're saying. People are very reactionary, and immediately you want to give it 5 stars, but after a while you
want to give
after a while you wish, could there be 6 stars? Could there be 8 stars? What if there was no ceiling? Oh, sorry.
No, you think, oh, maybe this wasn't 5 stars after all, because maybe it's more to a 4 than
maybe
5.
it was more 1 stars and you just had a lot of milkshakes that day. Oh, what?
Well, that does happen as well, which we talked
Peter,
about books like
way
that.
better at this game than I am. I'm gonna stop playing. You're filling in the blanks. Great.
That's because I secretly want to be on Dropout as an improv person, and I have no other outlet other than this.
Am I really dropping out that much?
Yeah, you kind of are.
Okay, let me turn off.
Great, because Peter's filling in for you so well. So as a matter of fact, don't fix anything. Let's just keep going.
Well, I turned off and on now. Let's see if that's...
It's definitively worse. But Jess, I do think one thing that you and I have in common, even if I grade detractions and you grade delayed, we do tend to go into books rooting for them. I don't know that you and I ever go into a book with like a chip on our shoulder to be like, F this.
Right.
Like I just try not to read if I feel like that on that day, Yeah,
I really want the comic book to be great. I want to read nothing but 5-star books. I know that's impossible, but it takes a lot to. I mean, it takes a lot, and it doesn't take a lot to disappoint me. It depends. But I learned to give out fewer 5-star, and if I've got like a 3-star book, my Goodreads doesn't give half stars. Like I think I feel like Jessica told me that it's been updated to give half stars. Because I'll put in the notes, if anybody reads it, that my 3 was really like a 3.5, or my 4 was really a 3.8. I'll do that for some books, but there was a few that were 1-star 1-star and 2-star for me, and I was kind of mad at him. I was like, hey, I don't know about you, writer of this book, but that's 3 hours of my life I'm not getting back, and I have to be very careful with what I read. So I want to. I do. I think you described it well. That the delight does tend to go up. I have to. I was with regarding Ryan North's Fantastic Four. You, Peter, had just given it such glowing reviews that I was afraid that I was going to be disappointed. And
it's rare that I go that hard for something. Like I don't unequivocally endorse things that often.
Right. And I was worried that I was like, this can't live up to what he said. I'm like, whoa, it surpasses what he said. Every story's so great. I love I was worried, but that to me is a 5-star book. I am deliriously happy every time I read a trade paperback, and you're welcome out there for the omnibus that's going to get announced, I'm sure, sometime soon from Very Fine Condition, because I bought 5 trades now. I mean, come on, Marvel. What are you waiting for? I don't know.
Yeah, and it really, to me, proves that you can, I think every comic that's made is a miracle. Like, it boggles my mind that these things happen. How do we get from ideas on somebody's head to modern art? Like, it's as somebody who loves art, loves going to art museums, and I'm not good at art. I don't have a art history background. I just love it because I think it's a miracle that people have the vision to do that, because I'm not a visual communicator. I'm a words communicator. I'm a textual communicator. So I think every comic book that comes out is a miracle from heaven. And so, like, to have a comic book run that's that good, like to have like 10 issues in a row that's good, to have 20 issues in a row, I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I love this. It doesn't happen all the time. I can't say that there's a lot of books up here that manage it, but when you get that many issues in a row that give you that good feeling, and it's actually kind of crosses over like some music chat for me, because a phenomenon that kind of links a lot of my recent faves, but also just faves in general in music and comics is, and I'm sure there's some kind of word, probably in German for this, is something that evokes instant nostalgia, but it's not actually nostalgic. Like, it's not a cover song. It's not a comic that's playing beats you've already seen. It's just something that feels so instantly familiar and intimate to you that you like almost feel like you have an instant nostalgia. And I love things that make me feel like that. And I think Ryan North's Fantastic Four made me feel like that, because I'm like, yeah, it's very referential of Lee and Kirby. I think it kind of links to Wade a bit, but it just gave me instant nostalgia of like, this is the Fantastic Four I've always loved, even though it was something new and different.
Let's go outside.
Oh, Jess is evicting people from his house.
Yeah, Jess has this.
Sorry, I have to get this cat out of the house, and I'll explain why in just a sec.
Oh, is it neighbor cat? Okay,
yeah.
Freddie and I will hold it down.
Back.
Freddie, do you know what I mean? Whether it's like music or TV or comics, that like instant nostalgia?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Some things they're made with this thought of like something. It's like something in the past, as well as with the mentality of I'm representing something that's in the past, but also something that I want in the future. It's a weird thing that I feel a lot of people try to imitate, but so few actually get it right.
Yeah, because I think the key there is if you're trying to imitate something, it doesn't work, because then it's just imitation. One of the piece of music that's in the thumbnail for me, which is Orville Peck's album from last year, Stampede, which is mostly a duets album, and some of the duets are with artists where he's definitely trying to do something in their particular style. But there's a couple of songs on it that just... Orville Peck always kind of sounds like Roy Orbison, so there's a little bit of that, and I do love classic Roy Orbison, but Orville Peck's music is just like instant classic to me. Like, it instantly sounds so familiar that I know how to sing along to it on the first listen, and that's so powerful to me, and that's something I know a lot of people love him for his cool voice and his kind of like warbly, baritone tone with all of this vibrato, but I just love him because he writes melodies that I swear that I've heard before, but that's because they're like obvious, and not obvious in like a boring way, but obvious like, oh yeah, of course the melody would do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I love that. I don't remember what I was watching. I was watching something the other day where someone was performing a new song, and literally the crowd once the chorus repeated, everybody was into it, like an instinct that just flowed through everybody. That's
But
I can't
I mean, if
imagine
we
how
can
that
get
feels.
really
Yeah.
philosophical for a second, I think that's why people are so attracted to the large language models that we're all calling AI right now, even though it's not really AI and all different things are AI. Because the way that things like ChatGPT and Meta's, all of these large language models work, Google's Gemini, is that it's predictive text, right? It's
Yeah.
literally looking at a topic, and if you, I saw somebody on Reddit said they asked it to recommend them comics similar to comics by Mobius. And it's like, and they're like, I'm pretty happy with the list. I'm like, well, yeah, because the thing that it's doing is literally trying to think of the next word or the next topic or the next sentence that is going to be the most pleasing and obvious with the one that comes before it. And I think the reason people are so attracted to that is because it does give them that level of like fulfillment of a good melody that goes to an obvious place, a comic book that like sets up the pins and knocks them down. There is something incredibly attractive and like elementally in your gut fulfilling about a thing that does the thing you expect it to do. And I think that that's like why people get really hypnotized by large language model AI, because it's literally putting together words in the way that you would like a song to be put together, or would you like a book or a TV show to be put together. And I think that's very dangerous, right? Like the thing is that I don't like Orville Peck because he does things that are expected. I like it because I think the melodies unfurl in such a genius simplistic way. And I think there's a difference between getting a true artist who knows how to do that and getting a program to imitate that based on predictive results. But I think there's something really interesting there on that dichotomy.
Yeah. What's this woman from Two Broke Girls that's in Thor?
I know what you mean. Kat Dennings?
Kat Dennings. Kat Dennings had an amazing when AI started becoming popular during the strikes. She had an amazing thing where she said AI is basically us getting stuck in the past. This is conservatism because it is not allowing you to evolve, which is something that we should strive for. Like one of my favorite artists is Paramore, and Paramore's changed
I've been on a
so much.
non-stop Paramore listen for the last 3 weeks.
And then
Non-stop.
we get to the one album that we've talked about that doesn't punk. It's just something very strange and different to them, and it becomes immediately your favorite because it's your favorite artist doing something else so good, so well. Like you've seen how years of doing this one thing and getting really good at it has somehow also helped get to another level, and something that if they've tried it, it's never been public to us. And that's pretty much like how I feel about Chip Zdarsky. Like he started doing Howard the Duck and Sex Criminals, and people are like, oh, he's the comedy guy. And immediately, like once somebody allowed him to do drama, to do action, you realize, oh, there's more to this person, and that's what these things don't give us. They also let us trapped in narcissism, because I see that a lot in when people use ChatGPT to like have deep conversations, and it's just repeating to them exactly what they're saying. And I'm like, you're not having an actual conversation. You're not talking to someone. You're just having things bounce back at you.
Yes, agreed.
Thank you, Yarny. I lit a candle in church for your Bronze Age Superman Omni dying in the pole, Just. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was really shocked that didn't make it, but I think it's interesting to see the effect the DC Finest had on some books and not other books, because the DC Finest Batgirl had no effect. Batgirl did exactly as well as it did last year. It was #1 with a totally dominant performance. But like Metamorpho, which was nowhere near the top 16 last year, but it was like, it did okay. It was in the middle. Metamorpho dropped like 200 and something spots because they put out a DC Finest that was exactly what the Omnibus would have been. And it was just so interesting to see what went up or what went down. Crisis Batman went down about almost 20 spots, which is still pretty high in the poll, but it clearly lost some steam because it takes a lot of votes to get into the top 10. And I think that took out Bronze Age Superman. I think people getting that DC Finest that unified both Superman and action, and it was like, all right, we could be patient. And it didn't end horribly. It was still in the results. But it's really interesting to see. Whereas the compendiums, didn't really seem to have an effect on the results. Like, Nightwing did just as well as it did before, even though there's a compendium of that exact material that came out.
Well, the Superman, the DC Finest, I just got it. Excuse me, and I just started rereading it for the, and it would have covered exactly what I would have wanted in the omnibus.
And it's like as long as an omnibus too. So like,
yeah, it's got action and Superman in it, and it covers everything I want. I got it an IST for $17. I can see why people don't want an omnibus of it.
Yeah.
Best case, it's going to be 65 or something, and I myself, I got it for $17. Okay, I'm happy. At least people can read it now, and they can see why it was important. It was the first hard reboot for Superman really ever, and they can, but they haven't done that for Batman. So I'm guessing, to your point, Peter, maybe that's why Batman Bronze Age 1 was much higher.
Oh yeah, because there's no alternative. There's nothing to buy.
Exactly.
Even if they bring that Neil Adams omnibus out again, it's still not going to take the heat off that book because there's so many other issues that would be in that book that are not Neil Adams issues.
Right.
I expect it to drop a little. Like if the Neil Adams book comes back out with the original colors, I think it'll lose like 10 or 15 spots, but it's not going away. That's my prediction. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I was sad because I was really pulling for the Bronze Age lines for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman to be on the poll. I do really want them. So, but I was, I think that with DC, the excitement is really about the 80s material. I think the 80s material has been so untouched for so long. There's so little collections of it, especially the stuff like right before Crisis and right after Crisis. There's just so little covered for anybody, really, for any character, that there's just hunger for that. Whereas, what's interesting about DC, and I was trying to articulate this to somebody the other day, is, and Jess, I'm interested in your perspective because you were collecting DC in the 70s and then again in the 90s. DC has such a wider breadth than Marvel. Like Marvel has so many characters and so many books, but they're kind of like all franchises. It's rare that a truly weird character at Marvel has a relatively lengthy run. Like the Gwenpools, the Darkhawks, they're kind of uncommon at Marvel. Usually, even if somebody breaks out, it's like some X-Men or some Avenger or something. Whereas at DC, it just feels like, okay, there's a 64 issue series of Lobo. There's 100 issues of Firestorm. And a lot of these characters have been grandfathered into the Justice League at some point. But DC in the 70s, 80s, and 90s really felt like just anybody, Starman, Hourman, it just felt like anybody could have a 20 or 30, 40 issue run as a solo hero. And that to me makes DC different than Marvel. And it's something that for me has been missing from DC since 2011, that's just starting to come back, because it really felt like DC tried to be more like Marvel and stopped giving all these weird characters their own series. And that's just the market. But what do you think? Do you think that was something that differentiated DC and Marvel in the 70s, 80s, and 90s?
Yeah, I do. One title that I think represents it perfectly, and I think a lot of people actually like this book, was Princess Amethyst. That was, to me, that was such a niche title. I was like, who really wants, at the time, back in the 80s or whenever, I feel like it was the late 80s maybe that Amethyst was coming out, but it had a fairly long run, enough that it would get an omnibus. And I was just like, you look at the covers and I almost felt like they were going, the covers sort of seemed like, are they looking for 12-year-old girls with this, or 15-year-old?
I always thought it was kind of like a She-Ra type of book. Like, I didn't know that there was more to it. By the way, it did not miss by far this year. That is a book that very much could be in the top 60 in the future.
I remember seeing a lot of people Monday night in the chat talking about it, and I've seen them before talking about it, that they want Princess Amethyst collected. I would say that sounds like a candidate for DC Finest to me.
Yeah.
And I hope that they are seeing good enough sales that they can continue at this price point. I don't know that
It's got to
I-
go up. It has
Yeah.
to. There's no way they're profitable. It's just
I don't.
impossible.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But even if it went up enough to be profitable, I still think those things are a bargain. It's crazy. I thought I had it here, but I must have left it upstairs because I've been reading it. That the Kryptonite Nevermore
Oh, the Superman
thing.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't made it to me yet. Maybe it's in my next order because I don't see it. But
Oh, you know
I
what?
bought it.
I think I packed it with the X23 to read if I have
Oh,
down.
on the way to HeroCon.
Yeah, or when I get there. I think I packed it now that I am thinking about it. So what? Oh, but I think that's where a lot of those titles, those Bronze Age, could end up going is in DC Finest. But I was astonished. I don't. You'll remember last year better than I will, of course. I felt like there was at least eight Legion of Superheroes titles in that top 60, and
It went crazy
maybe
this
more.
year.
That
It was crazy. It wasn't like that last year, but I credit
okay.
that to Lars and a little and to you because you like read Lars's maps. Like I don't. I keep saying it's like if we had some random person who doesn't read X-Men, if we had Josh Greathouse be like, Josh, name all of the X-Men omnibuses we don't have, like that, it wouldn't ring true to people voting on the poll because you have to be like a X-Men insider to get it right. And I think, it's hard because last year I know Legion really well. In terms of publishing history, where the volumes start and stop, who the creators were, but I didn't come at it from the approach of an Legion insider. And I think Lars like streamlined all the books so that if you were somebody who loves Legion, you would see the title and be like, yep, that's the one, that's it, that's what I've been waiting for. And I mean, I'm sure there were Legion fans in it too, but they don't, looking at the data, it doesn't seem like there was a big raft of all Legion votes from Legion fans. It just feels like more people voted for more Legion books in general. And Legion was one of the few runs that we mapped ahead because there were a lot of obvious breakpoints. So we did map all three Paul Levitt's books. That was counter to the way that we mapped everything else on the poll. Everything else in the poll, we're like, we're only doing the first volume. And I think that helped to add to the diversity because people weren't trying to vote for like 2 volumes of Cascade and 2 volumes of Tom King and 2 volumes of this. But Legion, we actually did put tons of volumes in the poll and it still did really well. So, I mean... Who knows what'll happen next year? I would like the votes to double. Once it gets to 5,000 votes on each of the polls, I will feel like even if some random Amethyst Reddit catches wind and 50 people from the Amethyst Reddit vote for it number 1, I think at 5,000 votes we would be resistant enough to that it wouldn't like swing the whole poll. I still feel like at 2,500 votes, 30 or 40 people appearing newly to vote for something kind of can like swing the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I acquiesced to Lars when you sent out the the email to us. I was like, oh, whoa. I think Lars has, as much as I love Legion of Superheroes, Lars has in his memory what he, what he's, I mean, you saw what he sent back, and it was just all this stuff that he had committed to memory. And I think he's like, with Legion, like you are with X-Men, that you, Krisis, that you have
internalized it.
Yeah, and
yeah,
he just, and I don't have that capability. I'll say I dug this period, but I can't give you the issue numbers. I just said the Kryptonite Nevermore issues till the end of when the Sand Superman disappears. I don't remember what issue numbers those were.
But you have an amazing memory for story, which I do not. Didn't last night Freddie said like, oh, what about when X-23 blah blah blah? And I'm like, I could not tell you that ever happened. That is a complete mystery to me. So I think you have a great, amazing, impressive memory for like story beats. You'll be like, the one where they fought over the thing and then they got sent to the negative world. I'm like, I do not know what we're talking about, but I can tell you how many issues that volume had and who the artist was.
Well, I still don't. I still feel like X-23 in the high school, they got suspended after being sent to the principal 5 straight times because all she did was keep she kept coming up with
Fighting,
different ways to murder people, and some of it was in French, some was it was in physics, and they ended up getting suspended. But I never saw any kind of normal teenage behavior from her until they hijacked the car and had fun, and that was X-23's idea.
I don't think she gets into like teenagey. It's not until she gets to X-Men that they kind of like make her a normal teenager.
Yeah.
But that's funny. I've read all those comics. I love them. I know that I love them, and I can tell you the names of all the series and what years they came out. I have no recollection of her being in high school.
For forgetting.
It's one of the funnier parts of the book, and there's not that many funny parts in that book.
No, it's very
like
very
lots
painful,
of layers of tragedy that have made her who she is, and just tragedy upon tragedy. And now I'm into the second half, so but then I think I'm missing a lot in the middle, because I've read All New Wolverine and love it, and I don't think I've read I've read Uncanny X-Force. But I haven't read other stuff that you just. Where did you describe it? Crisis. I feel like maybe I'm thinking of of last month's poll or something. But I felt like we talked about it recently, and you were saying this is where she. It must have been in our chat, because X-23 came up, and you said she doesn't, as you just said, she doesn't really become a normal teenager to like new X-Men or X-Men Academy or whatever.
Yeah, she joins the X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's.
Oh no, I have to get ready for more Freddie lip dubs. He's really gone this time too.
Yeah, yeah. You actually just sold your soul to Satan. I think that's what Krisis was saying. He gambled away your soul.
It's like a Spider-Man Mephisto deal.
Yeah, Mephisto. Kenny says, I know that I'm way behind. I think that some writers struggle sometimes with comic book characters, Superman, Supergirl, etc. They forget their humanity side, and there is a person behind the superhero. That, when I review the DC Finest Kryptonite Nevermore chunky thing, and that's just how I'll refer to it, is the sand Superman that forms after Superman, after all the kryptonite is turned to iron. He drains away some of Superman's powers, this sand being. You'll have to watch my review whenever I put it up, or read it yourself. But Superman in the books, I forget who's talking to him, but they're like, won't you feel less? Won't you feel less of a superhero now that you have less of a percentage of your superpowers? And he said, I don't know. I don't think I had more power than any human should have. So they weren't pounding that alien concept like they are now. Like Luther has been. I can't believe the year 2000 was 25 freaking years ago.
Oh, don't even get me started. That's terrifying.
I know. I can't remember. I feel like it was Luther who's the one that came up with this alien, alien among us type thing. But back in the 70s, Superman was identifying, his pronoun was human. But he said that's too much power for a human to have. And I was like, oh, whoa, that's kind of interesting that he used to refer to himself as human. And he felt more accepted than in however the writer was writing it, at the time, Denny O'Neil. So I think that's interesting. What Kenny just had to say is the person behind the superhero, because Now he's always an alien, and so's everybody else. That's superpowered in the Superman family, as opposed to the Bat family. So it's interesting that at one point he did identify as human and not somebody trying to fit in as a human.
Well, and I do think, to Kenneth's point, which I think is so perceptive, like, that's because Marvel was always meant to be the world outside your window. I think, with the exception of certain Marvel characters like Thor, that writers tend to lean into trying to make them human first and heroes second. And because DC characters are, as opposed to that, often so iconic and so much larger than life, even their more down to earth, unpowered heroes like Green Arrow or Batman, I think that DC sometimes struggles with, like, who are they other than this hero? And I've kind of learned actually that, and I know some people like that. Some people want iconic DC. Some people just want them to be the biggest, the boldest, the brightest, the bravest, and that's great for them. I find, and this really speaks to why I've started to figure out what Batman comics I do like. The more fallible they are, the more mistakes they make, the more assumptions they make, the more like that. I love DC more and more, and I think we're coming out of the 2010s, and especially in New 52, a period where a lot of DC characters were not allowed to be human at all, like, because they were being relaunched, and it was about distilling them down to their, like, most elemental aspects. And I just think the reason I love DC so much now, and I consistently, my running average, DC spanks Marvel. DC is like 0.5 above Marvel in average across the whole line for me, is because DC's just doing that. DC's whole line is about who are these people now. It's the case in the Superman books, it's the case in many of the Batman books, it's the case in Birds of Prey. It's, and that's what I love. That's what I love in comics.
Yeah. Matt, you guys haven't seen this, have you? You see his profile pic. That's something Patty gave me.
I saw it on Discord and I did not understand.
I don't either. She gave it to me for Father's Day. And it's her as Harley and me as Joker-fied Joker. She wants it
made you Poison Ivy.
He wants it to go in a prominent place in the house. And when my daughter and her best friend were over for Father's Day, and I knew I would get this reaction. When I was looking at it, I showed it to him, and they were like Bart and Lisa Simpson when they see something that terrifies them. They were both like, ah! That is just, the oddest of the odd, but the fact that she buys in to herself being Harley is kind of a victory for me.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't like Harley at all. And Matt, I'm glad that your wife got the next Catwoman book. I don't think I've gotten it yet. Here's some more condolences for me. Thank you, Paul. Paul likes Ultimate Spider-Man and the New Gods. I have heard an awful lot about the Ultimate line at Marvel. I think, yes, Jess and his panel of guests. My English isn't perfect. I've only been speaking it for 55 years. I thought that you were referring to something else, like a Heroes Con panel, so I appreciate it. Freddie, that Tom Cruise take I will never forget.
No.
We need to get Cliff and I on a stream together at some point, but it might be too powerful. I mean, I think we're both going to be on that Superman stream next week. I don't know. We're going to see what happens on that Superman stream.
Well, I felt like you said you might just moderate it.
I just don't know Superman as well, and with Batman, I actually know Batman decently, and I read a lot of Batman to get ready for the Batman one, and I felt like I was like really confident and I had picked good stuff, but I already had favorite Batman stories. I don't know that I have any favorite Superman stories, and I am really under the gun with a lot of work right now. So I don't know that I'm going to read 80 issues of Superman before next Thursday the way that I did for Batman. So to like get a sense of like where the good stuff was. So I might just moderate that evergreen, but rather than actually be a panelist. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much reading I get done over the weekend, I suppose.
Scott says so many hated runs become classic when enough years pass. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Spider-Man,
Dan
Superior
Slott.
Man is a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
I was pulling singles back then, and man, was it hated. And
yeah.
now it's considered, a classic run. Ilan, my Welsh buddy, one of my favorite things about this community is how we respect and value each other's opinions, even though they can be different. I try to make that the absolute cornerstone of this channel. Is
No,
just
I
to
disagree.
all the time if you want, as long as it's polite.
I disagree with what Elon said. He can stick it.
So for next month, that's kind of what I want our topic to be. I keep teasing to the two of you. I want it to be vicious disagreement between the three of us the whole time.
No, like Jeremy said earlier. So was it Jeremy? No, Jen. Crap. John Remy said earlier that I was disagreeing with you. I don't think I was. I think
On what?
Well, it was something earlier. I think we just had necessarily disagreed.
We had one moment. And,
This is the best game ever.
Join on my phone. See if that's better.
This is the best though. That Marcelo was not digging Tinian's or Zdarsky's, but he's still buying both. So
yeah, I mean, I read. It takes a lot at this point to get me to drop. I think I've dropped 2 Marvel books and 1 DC book because I mean, it's for my own self-preservation that I'm reading them all because then I know what to put in the guides. So it takes a lot. I have to really, truly hate the direction of a book. Even like bad writing is not enough to get rid of me. I have to like really, really just fundamentally be uncomfortable with the thing that they're doing to get me to drop the book.
This is actually a good point Marcelo makes. I like reading stuff people dislike. Very often the low expectations help me enjoy the book more. That's interesting. And Chris, I know I now use Fable and Storygraph that does quarter stars. I thought Jessica told me Goodreads did have half stars. I think at the beginning of the year started using a different app, and I may have to do that too.
I don't need quarter stars. That's crazy. That's
chaos. Stars. Yeah,
that's chaotic.
Stars are plenty.
Because with half stars, it's a 10-point scale, and I know what each of those means. Like I have a word. Like 4 stars to me is excellent. 3.5 stars is great. 3 stars is good. 2.5 stars is average. 2, like I know what the word is. So when I'm like, what does this get? I'm kind of like, well, what word would I use for it? Would I use good? Would I use uneven? Would I use bad? Would I use terrible? But quarter stars mean I need 2 times as many words.
Yeah, I don't know that I needed that granular. I'm fine. I'm fine if it's just half star. I love when I pick a book up for the cover or blurb and it's brilliant. I want to share my love for it immediately. Yeah, exactly. Electric City. Welcome. I tend to be a pretty easygoing reviewer, but man, oh man, when I hate something, I go scorched earth on it.
For me, it's like when I update League of Comic Geeks to keep track of what I've read on my pull list so I can just know what's left. And I don't do it for every book and I don't post reviews there usually. But if I go on to update something and I'm like, well, that was 0.5 stars. That was the worst comic I've ever read in my life. And I see everybody's rated at 5. I'm like, like I get crazy. So that's why people are like, why do you only write negative reviews? I'm like, because the only time that I get insane enough that I'm going to spend my time to write content for somebody else's website is when I get that like Hulk rage. Usually I'm like, I'll just write it for Crushing Krisis. I'll just write it on my channel. But the only time I'm tempted is when I get on and I discover everybody loved something that I hated. And then I've got to go scorched earth. Like, no!
Yeah, Queen Lily was here. She was soaking wet. This is the cat that adopted us, Krisis. It poured rain, and once it stopped, I went out to take some garbage out, and for the first time ever, for the first time in about a year, she came back in the house, and I tried to dry her off, and she just kept escaping up the stairs and up the stairs, and I thought, okay, if you don't want to be dry, I'll see you. And it turns out my sister-in-law, who's coming in tonight, I had forgotten this, deathly allergic to cats, and I had forgotten that. So Patty was asking me to make sure that the cat was out, and when I told you I was taking the cat out, she had come down the stairs and was telling me she needed to be let out. So
I don't understand the idea of indoor-outdoor animals. As somebody who, I don't say this jokingly, I'm not formally diagnosed. People in my family are diagnosed as OCD. I think I probably am. I mean, I probably am. My newest addition, and the reason I'm so happy this week, I swear this gets to the point, is that I bought this little drawer of 3 drawers, and each drawer is like one of those like a little hanging baskets, because I like to keep clothes segregated by if I'm going to allow them into the outside world. But then there's another layer of like, well, if I wore those jeans in the outside world and then I sit down on something in those jeans inside the house, then that thing that I sat on is now an outside thing because I sat on them with outside jeans. So then I need to have inside clothes that I will sit on things in the house that touch the outside world. And then I have like true pajamas that I'm like only going to wear when I'm in a room that I don't let outside stuff in. And I need to segregate them. And so I got this new little hanging basket thing. And finally I have segregation for my clothes so that I can keep them all separated and truly live this fantasy, which is to say the idea of letting an animal inside the house that had been outside and then the animal just walks around, I would be a full-time vomiting every day all through the day at the thought of it. Like I wouldn't be able to ever eat or sleep or like touch my face. I would be which I love cats so much. I had cats all growing up, but I am in an advanced age and state of psychosis now that I think if I had cats, I would only be able to have them in like a one room or like one side of the house, because as soon as their little paw touched my bedspread, I would have to set the room on fire.
I sympathize with you because I know it must be difficult. But I struggle with the concept of people that let their, I don't know how you find out, because we have these neighbors that have the dog that I take care of, and they also have a cat, and that is a strictly indoor cat that they have. And I take care of Doris, their dog, occasionally. And Lily that just visited, they just open the door and she goes out and knows when to return and goes to the house. And I'm like, how do you let your pet do that? I'd be afraid as soon as I open my door, that cat would be gone. And
yeah, my child cats, we would never see them again if they left the house. They would never come back.
She's got a little bell and has her name tags and stuff on her collar, but they've figured out, and there's another cat in the neighborhood that's like that too. He comes and sunbathes in her backyard, and he knows to go back to the house, but I would be too afraid to do it with a dog or a cat. I think there are fewer dogs running around than when I grew up, and I'd always see dogs running around. I feel like.
Well, that's not fair to other people. Cats are not going to like bark or chase you or anything, but a dog.
Oh, well, that's
not really fair to let your dogs free roam. There's this cat that I have a neighbor who walks his cat every morning, no leash. He goes, no. And the cat follows him down the street, and the cat sometimes will pause or like lick itself or like sniff a mailbox or something. But he walks all the way up and down my street, and it's a pretty long street, with this cat, no leash, every morning. And then he goes, come on, and the cat just follows him back into his house.
Wow.
It is the most amazing. I mean, everybody loves him and the cat because it's like the most amazing thing you've ever seen.
I didn't know cats could do that.
I didn't either. And I grew up with a cat who thought he was a dog. He thought he was a dog. And he would like fetch, and he always would come to his name, and like, but we couldn't do that. If we'd taken him outside, he would have just bolted.
No, yeah. I've worked with trained cats. They don't even do that. They can't do. No.
I swear there's something special about this cat. He follows the owner up and down the block, no leash. He doesn't run off. He never walks in the street. He stays on the sidewalk. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know where it came from.
There goes my Duffy Ballant Catwoman omnibus. Yeah. Elon has to leave.
Yeah, he came back.
Oh, he came back.
Oh, he did come back.
He came back. That song, though. Yeah, so if you haven't, one of my favorite songs of last year is this song called How Far Will We Take It? It's on the Orville Peck album Stampede, and it's a duet with Noah Cyrus, who is Miley Cyrus's little sister, who's much more like indie and alt, and she makes much stranger choices. Though Miley Cyrus makes some pretty strange choices, but it truly sounds like they found this song in the vaults, like it was some like Orville found it, and it was some kind of Roy Orbison duet with like Patsy Cline or something. Like, it just sounds like it was unearthed, and it's just an original song, and it's got beautiful harmony. I'm such a sucker for harmony. And it's a slow song. I'm usually like a catchy poppy song person, but it's just one of my favorite songs of all of 2024.
Okay. Kryptonic Man.
With some great Marco Cicchetto hair in the
There we go.
in the profile picture, as we know I aspire
There
to,
you
and I
go.
think I'm there
Okay.
today.
I just need all the Spectre series to be collected in Omni format. Well, they're giving John Ostrander an awful lot of love compared to they're ignoring him for the past 20 years. So with Suicide Squad and Spectre, I feel like Spectre by Ostrander did get it, or did it just make the poll?
Well, I think Spectre by Ostrander 1 is coming out or just came out, and so the poll had Spectre by DeMatteis, which is Hal Jordan. Because people are like, well, we already got a volume 1 of Ostrander Spectre, so I don't think it was in the top 60. It was last year.
Okay. I think it has yet to come out, but I think it is coming out. And that, because Omar and I think on the stream, said that it wasn't even completed in trade paperback. There were just two trades put out, and those things were way out of print. So this will be great to get Ostrander Spectre collected.
That's a good tongue twister. Ostrander Spectre collected.
Ostrander Spectre
Not
collected.
going to attempt it again. Wait, there was a Flash DC Finest?
Yeah, it's the original start of the Silver Age. Yeah.
Okay, I have that in omnibus format, so that's good. Okay.
According to Penguin, Spectre Omnibus is out. It came out June 3rd.
June 3rd. Spectre by Ostrander?
The Wrath of the Spectre Omnibus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a reprint.
That's a reprint? Okay.
Is that the Bronze Age?
Yeah, that's the Michael Fleischer. Well, it's the beginning of Spectre's reintroduction from the Golden Age, so it starts in Silver
all
Age.
the way up to 1988.
Yeah.
What a cool book, though. That's one of those books that kind of gave us hope that DC would do something like a Zatanna book that would capture decades of Zatanna, because that book is kind of like the keystone to that, because they really did collect him through the decades. Yeah, the John Ostrander one's not out until October.
Yeah, October 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't know anything about Amethyst, so I don't know, Chris. How does the Amethyst compare to the young adult book? Oh, the Amethyst young adult book came out a couple of years ago.
Which one, Chris? There's one that came out like in a digest size, and there's another one that's like in a regular paperback that was part. I don't remember. Was it part of Young Animal or something similar? Like
Wonder Comics, the Bendis
Wonder
Mini
Comics,
line.
yeah. They're both
That was
good.
okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, they're both enjoyable.
My votes for Legion of Superheroes helped. My first year voting. Nice, Chubby Ray.
Love that. Love to see it.
And yep, Adam Hughes will be second or maybe third for me. I'm gonna have to see what Jenny Frason's line is like, because I know Adam Hughes is gonna have a long line. I'm back. It was Fab. Okay. Run through 5 of my votes for Legion. Nice. Yeah, you can't leave again. Oh, he was trying to bait you into leaving again. Okay.
Yeah, but I will say, Elon, if you haven't heard yet, and this is an old song, Elle Fanning with Wood Kid, amazing. Look it up. Like,
yeah, it's when she meets her cousin, and they go to. That's where they keep getting suspended. Well, they keep getting called to the principal, and then they get suspended.
yeah.
I just missed out on such a good Frozen Freddy. I wasn't ready.
Well, are you on your phone now, or did you go back to your?
No, because my phone wouldn't allow me to use my micro.
Phone, of course, as an audio professional, these are the things that I care about the most in the world. Microphones and also frogs. I love the tiny frogs of Puerto Rico. They're my tiny cookies. And you can hear the frogs in the distance right now, but my phone microphone wasn't going to pick up the frogs, so I had to discard the phone.
No, it wasn't that.
Coquitos? What are they
Coqui.
called?
Coqui.
Yeah, oh, I knew what I was talking about. I pay attention.
No.
I'm starting to feel bad now. I think I've talked more as Freddie than Freddie's talked as Freddie.
Get it out. Whatever you have to say it quickly, Freddie, because you're not. You're frozen again. Sorry, pal.
So, Jess, we haven't talked much about music yet, and we don't have a lot of time left. What records have you been spinning this month?
I have been listening to. I got a subwoofer. I think I told you last time so I've been listening to Dark Side of the Moon a lot, and I now have to move the subwoofer because it's so subby, so woofy that it's rattling everything around it, and I'm gonna need to find a more neutral spot for it.
Yeah, you got to be careful, and sometimes if you put them in like a corner, well, this is like Freddie's actual expertise. Like sometimes if you're not careful and you create a bass trap in part of your room because of the way that the frequencies kind of reverberate off of corners or off of the wall, or if there's like a low ceiling there, and even though it's not next to anything on the floor, it'll like, oh boy.
Yeah, so I've been listening to also
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I didn't know. I thought I was muted.
No, you're okay now.
Yeah. That was my bad. That was a giant echo.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Andy Bell still from I think he was in Ride, and a lot of this new group that I've listened to, Shoegaze Glare. I've been telling Elon about Glare, and I'm trying to think what other stuff have I haven't listened to anything like anything classic, like classic rock or anything. I haven't listened to any Slater Kinney in a while. Okay. I have been listening to a lot of Stereo Lab and Pie Corner Audio. Pie Corner Audio's more post rock, and other post rock that I've been listening to is This Will Destroy You. So I haven't really listened to as much Sabrina Carpenter as I'd like to. I need to.
But you were saying that you really like the new Sabrina Carpenter song. Some Sabrina Carpenter song is your jam. Right now,
Manchild.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
haven't even heard it yet.
I like the reason I even brought it up was I'm one of those people that keeps 100 tabs open for the better part of a year, and then I keep going back to them, going, "Oh yeah, I still want to see this. I'm going to leave it open." So it was the Man-Child video with the lyrics closed caption, and I really liked it. I really liked the lyrics. I liked where she was coming from. I liked the video itself. You know, if it was more age appropriate, I'd have a total crush on her. Like if I was 25, but it'd be creepy if I said that now, so I won't.
It's interesting. The guys really go for her, and I mean not just like all guys, but even guys that are like kind of my like cool indie guy friends who don't usually like drool over women in media are like obsessed with her.
Yeah, I don't know. She just really appeals to me, and I like how she's not afraid. And I know that life must be hell for people on social media that like actually have the nerve to express themselves in any way. I know I'm sure she's caught flack for how
Yeah.
how she expresses her sexuality. I'm sure she's caught flack for that, but I kind of like it. I'm like, good for her. She's saying what she likes, and what some guy can say it, and it's no problem. Why can't she say it and it's fine? She's expressing herself. Um, I I don't see the problem with her. I listen to her music. I couldn't quote any of her songs, but except for the F My Life part in Manchild, that was funny. But I like her tunes, and I that's that's really probably the only young artist right now that I could even say that I recognize the song. I don't. I need to listen to more Pink Pony Club.
Yeah, Chaperone live, amazing. Peter sent
And the new
really
tour
great
she's
video.
doing in Europe right now, she has a fuller band. She has like a full-time keyboardist, and I think there's like a second guitarist, because she was playing to a lot of backing tracks on that US tour, and it was fine, but it was very canned. It was very like, this is what the album sounds like. The people are just filling in a couple parts to make it live. Now it feels like they've dropped out some of the backing tracks, and it's more live, but especially for like Good Luck Babe, which has all of those keyboard parts. It was kind of like watching the band play it with her on the American tour. It was like, okay, well, what are they even doing? It's like mostly keyboards. So yeah, of course, our sustaining love. I feel like we've been on board with the Chaperone from pretty early on this channel.
Yeah.
And we've been giving you regular updates. But yeah, she played some European festival that had basically like a soundboard TV recording, and it's all on YouTube. So it's like a chance to just hear her, in perfect audio.
It's cutting
So I gotta,
out.
Oh,
Sorry. No, if I'm still not cutting out, I will mention earlier the song was saying that Elon should look for it, and you too, Peter.
What was it?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Am I cutting out?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, Freddie. So I guess I'll talk about music while Freddie melts onto the floor in frustration. So I just have three today that, I listen to music constantly, but I have three that have really stuck out for me recently. One of them I am sure that I got from a past Omnidog stream, although Omnidog swears he was not the one that recommended this to me, so it must have been one of you in the comments. But there's this band called Lone Justice. They were like an alt country band in the mid 80s. And the lead singer is Maria McKee, who has her own kind of country career. And I swear it had to come from the stream, because I don't know how else I would have wound up listening to it. So I listened to their first album, which is their self-titled album from 1985, Lone Justice. It sounds like Cyndi Lauper fronting the E Street Band. Like she's got this very distinct yowly voice. But the band is just this very kind of straight up rock, not like hard rock, just like very mainstream rock. But the combination somehow of like the way they play rock and her yally voice makes it country, which is like, you would never think, oh yeah, Cyndi Lauper fronting the E Street Band would be country. But no, it's like, I'm obsessed with it. I've been listening to it nonstop. So many great songs on it. East of Eden is a really good one if you want to go and listen to one. And the other one I really, really like is Sweet Sweet Baby, I'm Falling. But I just have been listening to it nonstop. So whoever recommended it, you got to come through and tell me who you are. I have to start writing down who recommends the stuff.
I remember they were that initial album. That's when I was working in the record store. That first album was really popular, and there was a lot of buzz about it. I think the only thing I've recommended to you from that time period was probably Cowboy Junkie's Common Disaster. And I'm not sure I love all the other Cowboy Junkie songs, but Common Disaster just has such a dark theme to it, and dark music and dark lyrics, that it pulls me in. But I don't think it was me.
Actually, just queued up their whole discography to listen to. One of my very close friends and mentors in Philly, who I used to work with, was a huge Cowboy Junkies fan. I remember she still had the cassette tapes because her car still had a cassette deck. And if I would drive, like she'd drive me to the train station or something, she would always have a Cowboy Junkies cassette. And at that time, I just didn't... Country to me seemed like too far a bridge. Now I just look at it as like, it's just singer-songwriter. And so I really am excited to listen to all of Cowboy Junkies. I have it all queued up. So I will have an opinion on that sometime soon. So Lone Justice, one of them. Then here's my one that's maybe a Jess recommendation, but this is my obscure recommendation for the week. It came from my friend Thomas, who's known as Mistake Theory throughout a lot of the internet. If you've ever seen that kind of like powder blue graphic that says Hickman reading order, and it has like all of the Hickman stuff, or there's one that's like a Claremont reading order and it has the covers at the top and then it says the issues below it. That came from Thomas. They've been on the internet. Those same two pictures have been on the internet for like 15 years now. And he's like known for that, but he's also this very, very funny guy. And he recommended me this band Melt, which is like, how Google effed are they? The band is just called Melt. And they're kind of like, it's so hard to explain. They kind of remind me of if Fiona Apple was exclusively covering Billy Joel songs. They have that kind of like white person soul quality of Billy Joel in the 70s and 80s, but it also has a very like singer-songwritery strident perspective of Fiona Apple, and that has a lot of cool harmony, which Fiona Apple doesn't tend to. And I just cannot turn it off. The record's called If There's a Heaven, and I mean, I truly love every song on it, but there's one called Your Name and one that I just cannot turn off in my brain called The Idiot. And it's got a perfect Billy Joel kind of keyboard and guitar riff. And the lyrics are just speak to me on such a deep level. The first verse is, I used to write songs in the airplane, but now I just think about people I love dying. I spend the whole flight crying. I used to be so good at small talk. Introduce me to your parents and they'd fall in love. Now I'm the guy who won't shut up at dinner as the candlelight goes out. I'm always at a simmer with a fire in my mouth. I'm like, oh my God, like speaking directly from my brain. Also, I love that it's a female singer and she says, I'm the guy at dinner. Like, that's just as fun to me. Yeah, Jess, I think you would really, really like it. I got to at least put that one song on your radar to listen to, The Idiot by Melt.
Melt. Okay, wait.
But the whole album is just brilliant. And it's funny, after I listened to it 8 times, I got on Blue Sky. I was like, Thomas, you have to hear this record. Generally, if it's a new record and I suddenly fall in love with it, it always comes from Thomas. That's always where the new music I've heard from the first time. So like even the other one on the thumbnail, Remy Wolf, which is my favorite record of 2024, so I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I listen to it constantly nonstop. That came from him. He has the best music recommendations if you're into that like singer-songwriter bordering on pop and like a little bit of like hyper pop or hypnagogic pop. He's like the master of those recommendations.
Okay, it's Melt. What's the song title?
Melt. It's called The Idiot.
The Idiot. Okay.
Highly, highly recommended.
Okie doke. The Idiot. Awesome. I got it down. Freddie, you can.
Ooh, John Remy Argueta. You just mentioned Daughters of Eve. You must have mentioned them before because they were on my list and I tracked down. There's only one EP of them on Spotify. But they have other songs that were 45 singles that I found on Discogs, but they're not digitized. So I have to find somebody on YouTube who's like, you know how sometimes there's YouTube channels where literally the person puts the vinyl record on the record player and they like let you listen to the song because there's no digital version. So I have to find the other Daughters of Eve songs, but they got on my list. And see, now I know that came from you. I have to start writing down where things come from. Yeah. But then my last one for the day, I want to ask you if you listened to this band at all, just because as I was listening to it, it struck me as kind of a Jess kind of band. Do you listen to Phantogram?
No.
It struck me because they're not, I think maybe they started a little more like trip hop, dream pop, but now they're like a little bit more indie pop or glitch pop. But they're new. And again, I'm still catching up on 2024. I have no opinion on any records from 2025 yet. Ask me when June is over. But the Phantogram record from late 2024, Memory of a Day, it just like effing slayed me. Every song is great. It kind of reminds me of like old garbage. Yeah, just listen to the first song. If the first song doesn't do it for you, it's not going to be the one for you.
What's
but
it
just
called?
kind of like it's by the band Phantogram, PH, like a phantom.
Oh, PH.
And the album is called Memory of a Day. But yeah, just like
Memories.
So those 3 records, it's been nonstop. Melt, Fantagram, Lone Justice, and then if I'm getting ready for a show and like making my hair look fluffy, it's Remy Wolf. That's the 4 records I've listened to solid for the past month.
I don't know what's happened to Freddie, but yeah, I'm sorry that Freddie's
It's
not
the worst.
I think I don't think he said he could stay for long anyway.
Oh, he also has company coming over or something.
Yeah.
I can't stay super long from now, but that's okay. Some streams are sweet and petite and the perfect length.
This will destroy you. Yeah, Eric. All right. Anybody that remembers WKRP in Cincinnati.
I do.
That is so great. I've been listening to Brian Wilson's Gershwin album.
Brian Wilson. Yeah, I'm kind of due for a big Beach Boys listen, but that's going to have to be later this year because I have so many things teed up already.
That first Sinead O'Connor album, yeah.
Oh, the production is so like deep. It's something I just couldn't appreciate at that time. I remember being so angry that Nothing Compares to You is at number 1 for so long. So I think it was number 1 maybe while Vogue was at number 2. There was some other song I really liked that Nothing Compares to You was number 1. I was like, get this crap out of here, because I was like a kid. Like I didn't want to hear this yowling, this depressed yowling. That was not the kind of music I was into. Now I go back and listen to Sinead O'Connor, who's somebody with every song I think she's ever recorded, and I'm like, wow, I just didn't get it at the time. I didn't understand the brilliance.
And her range, I haven't heard anybody, man or woman, with her range in a long time. When she wanted to, she had so many, I don't even know how to describe it. She just had so much range. I don't know how many octaves she could go, but she had a remarkable voice.
But much like these comic creators, you hate for people to only get their flowers, so to speak, after they pass. And Sinead O'Connor turned into such a controversial figure because of ripping up that picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live, that so many people hated her for years. And I would always pick up her newest album just to hear it. And she had a lot of really good albums, like stretching into the 2000s. Her albums were really good. And it feels like now, and I'm not saying this about you, but I'm just saying so many people now are like, oh, there's so many classics. I'm like, I just wish we could appreciate people while they were here to be appreciated. Brian Wilson certainly got venerated as a master while he was here to be appreciated. But the same applies to comics. So sad to lose Peter David, who I hope knew how much fans loved him and loved everything that he did. And so it just warms my heart to see. I feel like J.M. DeMatteis is having a big year where he's getting all these like omnibuses and collections, and he's writing a new Spider-Man series for Marvel. Like I hope he feels the love that people have had for him for decades. I think Ostrander is, I don't think I'd ever heard anybody say the name John Ostrander other than maybe like Omar before 2023. And I feel like since, even though I knew who he was, obviously, and I just think the amount of love and the outpouring of votes for all of his books on the poll this year just made me so happy. Not that any of these people are near death, but I'm like, for somebody who's been working in comics as a working author since the 80s, they're getting a little older. And it's nice for them to hear, like, actually, your runs are amazing. Your comics are great. We love you, and so I know I'm seen as the hypercritical one with the bad takes, but when somebody is good, I just wanted them to know how much they made me happy and their art was incredible,
Yeah, that just reminds me that I got to take to get signed the Adam Hughes Betty and Veronica book. Because I don't think, first of all, he even drew all of it in here, which he rarely does, the inside. But he wrote this thing. This is a legit, really funny, well-written book, and I want to tell him that. He's one of those guys that you don't really get much back from. His wife is his colorist, and I think she probably would understand your effusiveness more than he would. I'm not, but I just want him to know that this was legit funny, and it had a completely twisty ending, and it was so well written. I put this in books that made me laugh recently. And he did, of course he did all these really boss covers for it too. But I really just want to I want him. I'd love to see if I could find out if he wants to write more, because he really, this was really well written, and I just really, I don't know though. I know he's already, everybody feels the love for him pretty much, so I get that he doesn't need me to tell him, but I'm going to tell him anyway. I don't care.
Well, it's interesting, I tend to not want to interact with creators. Like it almost ruins the magic for me. Like I don't want to at them. I follow them to get their news, but it's a really rare creator that I want to like effuse at personally. Like it just feels weird to me. And I probably should more because of all the things I just said. But I like to think that like I show my love for them by like recommending their books and like, talking about them on streams and stuff. But yeah, I think Gillen is the one Kieran Gillen, where I will like at him and be like, sir, you are my favorite X-Men writer. Because my feelings are just so strong. But yeah, given how many people I love, the thing I've been trying to do lately is to remember to like at letterers and colorists when I really love them. And they really appreciate that because they just don't get recognized that much. Becca Carey, who letters everything right now, specifically Birds of Prey, but her lettering, and she's also does book design, so she designs like the cover pages and the recap pages of some comics, even if she's not the letterer. She's so good, and the readability of her letters is like so distinct. And I just was like, got on social media, I was like, hey, you're my favorite letterer, and she's like, wow, you have a favorite letterer? Yeah.
I think it's taken me a while, but I think I've said this before, but I have now become more aware of lettering, and I still love excuse me, the font, and I feel like it started in Bendis's X-Men. The lettering,
you like the lowercase font.
It's really sharp and easy to read, and I love the font all throughout Krakoa. The font, it just was really well done, and I really dug it. So that's where I really notice the font in books, is in those X-Men books, really.
Well, it's such an interesting history of like, there's reasons that comic books historically were all capitals, and it partially due to the typesetting, and originally, because I think original 1930s comics were typeset in the word balloons before they were hand lettered, and then as hand lettering became the thing, it just, given the crappy print quality of comics, it was like it was more legible to do them all as capital letters. But I think if I'm remembering my communications history well, all capital letters is not only harder for people with like dyslexia and stuff like that, because they aren't as differentiated as lowercase letters, but they're actually harder to absorb text from. There's a reason that usually only like headlines are all caps in traditional media. And so actually I think it's generally, I think, a good thing that comics are starting to, now that the printing technology is different, the idea that comics should have all uppercase lettering is very much a remnant of historical practices of comic book making and printing that aren't a factor today. So I do still like an uppercase font, but I do agree that lowercase fonts often are more readable because there's more things for your eyes to like attach to, because the letters are so differentiated. Yeah.
It was in 6th grade where my handwriting was changed from small letters to all caps. Because my handwriting was so bad that my teacher said, I need you to change and write in all caps. And I'm like, okay. And ever since then, that's how I write, all caps. That's my handwriting. Ever since I was.
Oh, really? So even like your whole life, you just write in all caps all the time? I guess I do too. Unless I'm just like scribbling something, I tend to write in all caps. Yeah.
And my cursive was worse than my.
Oh, I'm so happy that I don't have to ever write in cursive again, other than to sign my name, because I do well with straight lines on paper. As soon as we introduce curves, then I'm in trouble.
Let's see. But oh, I just got back from the Lance. How's it going? I just got back from the new How to Train Your Dragon remake, and I honestly loved it. Way better than 99% of the Disney remakes, which is not a high bar, but still. Jessica loves the animated How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm pretty sure she's seen this too and loves it. So she's a big fan of it. Wait a sec. Comic rating. What word is that?
Leptokutic. Leptokutic.
That's not even the next imaginable word. AS dropping the leptokutic
describes a probability distribution that is more peaked and has fatter tails than a normal distribution, meaning it has a higher... Oh, this is an AI overview. Screw that. Let me find somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. It's a type of statistical graph with positive excess kurtosis over 3. The term leptokurtic derives from the Greek words lepto, meaning narrow, and kurtos, meaning bulging. So it's like a different, like a bell curve is more bell-shaped. A leptokurtic curve is more like a tower.
Oh, okay. AS. What the hell?
That was a good one, man. I'm gonna be pulling that out in a work meeting soon.
I'm gonna have to go in.
Distribution of sales for this product are just so leptokutic.
I can't believe how leptokutic they are. Just wondering how you guys are planning on collecting the Krakoa Omnis, if at all. Oof, that is a good question. I have spent a small fortune on collecting all the trades, but then I stopped, and I'm going to get Fall of Krakoa and Rise of X or whatever it was, From the Ashes. No, it was Fall of X, Rise of 10 or whatever. That
Fall of the House of X.
That's what's coming out in October.
I promise.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, that's the one Omni I'm going to get because it finishes off all the, Dawn of X, Trials of X, everything else that I collected. So I think I don't know that I'm going to reinvest and get the Omnis. It'll be interesting how they map those Omnis. I think that's what's really going to be interesting. I don't know that I'm actually, as much as I'm going to stop buying Marvel trades pretty soon because and just wait for the Omnis on things like Fantastic Four and things like that have, 25, 35 issues. Because I'm kind of an addict when it comes to those Marvel trades. I really love buying them, and I'm going to start running out of room soon. So
yeah, part of why I went all digital is like even just getting Finest and Epics, I don't have any room left in the house. So like if I was still trying to buy all the trades for Krakoa, I have to see what the books look like in hand. I don't trust Marvel enough to begin with. That Fall of the House of X book not having the digital comics from X-Men Unlimited bums me out because there's a big Sunfire story in there that directly affects the end, and it's not solicited to be in there. So I don't understand the point of buying it if you can't get that story. I understand that X-Men Unlimited was like meant as a digital first comic book, but if you're going to put crucial plot into it, which I think is cool if you do, you got to collect it with the other stuff. So I'm a little annoyed with that. Plus, I think we need to see how it's ordered. That 2024 final 6 months of X-Men, the books read in the order they came out. You had to read them the week they came out because the next one always was like next. I think there was only one time when Dead X-Men violated that rule by 1 week. So if that omnibus comes out and the reading order is series by series, or if it only intersperses House and Powers and then has all the other stuff in the back, I don't need it because it's wrong. And I feel the same way about that first Krakoa omnibus. I want it bad. I want that Dawn of X omnibus, but I need to see an overview because if it just puts each of the series as its own order, or if it just intersperses them issue by issue, that's terrible. Anybody could do that. It's got to put them in like a story reading order. So I need signals of faith from Marvel, in the same way I did about Finest. I waited about 6 months before I went in on Finest because I wanted to see them solicit second books in each line to be like, okay, this is real. This is going to keep happening. So I might not pick up those Krakoa books until Dawn of X2 comes out. And if I have to pay aftermarket prices for the Dawn of X1 and Fall of the House of X, so be it. Let it be a signal to Marvel that if they want my $100, they've got to say in the solicit, this will be in reading order.
Okay, yeah, that is an important point. Cats out in the wild. Okay, Adam Hughes' table is across from Mike and Laura Allred. Next to Adam is, that's going to be...
So you'll be spending a lot of time in that area.
Basically that's the triangle for me. Okay, so talked about Sinead O'Connor, and This Will Destroy You, and Phantom Zone Freddie, he just texted me. Love Phantogram, so good. Oh, and that's how you spell it. Thank you. Okay, I had it spelled all wrong.
And I don't think any particular person recommended that to me. I think it's always kind of been on the periphery of my attention, and I just never took the time to sit down and listen. And now that I've heard it, and it could not be more the kind of music that I love. That album, that new Phantogram album, is 100% my favorite genre of music. And so now I'm like, well, now I have to listen to all of Phantogram. Who knew?
Oh, here's Freddie's explanation. I've given up. I connected my PC that has ethereal cable to 2 webcams and it won't work. Elle Fanning and Woodkid were the combination I was recommending. Wait, isn't Elle Fanning like Dakota Fanning's sister or something?
Yes.
Is she an actress?
Yes.
She's an actress.
She also sings.
Okay. And
I mean, I guess.
I don't know what Woodkid is. Woodkid? Would you kid you? What? Woodkid.
I love how you're trying to find a way to say it differently, like it's Swedish or something. Woodkid?
Woodkid.
It's probably just Woodkid.
Yeah, Spotify.
That's like Tove Lo is Tuve Lu, but it just looks like it's Tove Lo. So I said Tove Lo for years because how would I know? But then she was on a judge on Drag Race, and RuPaul said, "Welcome Tuve Lu." I said, "Who?" And then I was like, "Oh, her? Isn't her name Tove Lo?" All right.
Woodkid. Okay. All right. I can't listen to it now, but I have it on my Spotify, so I will play it after, so we don't get demonetized. Music adjacent. Oh, I just bought an iPod Classic Gen 5 to refurbish. That is the one Apple product that I have kept all my versions of. I have about 7 iPods, including the little white stick iPod that barely counted. But I still have the U2 iPod, which has U2's signatures on it, and I kept the
red one.
Yeah, but I wonder if they still work, because I definitely had to keep the plugs for them because they changed the plugs to those 45 different times. Yeah.
I usually rode my iPods into the ground. I remember I got my first one at the end of 2004, and I was like, this is magic. Because at the time I had this huge CD collection. I would have to bring my, I would bring my Discman to work with like a little lunchbox of CDs. But I usually would get to the point, because they used to have spinning drives before flash memory was a thing. And I would just get to the point that the drive would just grind to a halt, because I would just take my iPod everywhere. I'd listen to it 20 hours a day. So now I'm still hanging on to an iPod Touch. I was so upset when they got discontinued, but I get it now. And iPhones are effectively an iPod Touch.
Yeah, those.
I've had this.
I have mine still.
I've had the same iPod Touch since 2015, so it's 10 years old. It's in the same case. The case is then wrapped in packing tape to make sure it's totally waterproof, and it still has my American phone number on the back, because if I ever lost it in the States, it says, "This is not an iPhone. It is only an iPod. Please call this number and return it to me. I'm happy to share music."
Those Touches were really good. I forgot about those.
They were just basically iPhones. They were just iPhones that didn't call anybody.
Yeah, yeah. But they felt really good. Just the touch part. Yeah, and I get it. But I mean, for a music player,
I missed the wheel though.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, will Apple Music still talk to his iPod Classic Gen 5? Okay, wait. I love her cover of All Apologies. Is this
Who's? We have to. I don't know. We got to go. We got to scroll back up now. I don't know what we were talking
yeah,
about.
it was 8 o'clock. So, was it Maria McKee you were talking about?
Maybe.
Is that,
I don't
that the
know.
Nirvana song, All Apologies?
A lot of different people have covered it. I don't know. We need context. Chris Brogan, when you rewatch this, let us know what you were talking about.
Sinead is a favorite of mine. Such a talent. Oh, I will be seeing Mary day after tomorrow at Heroes Con. Have you listened to the Unrighteous Brothers? I love it. Orville Peck and Paul Cawthon. Only 2 songs, but so good. Cawthon is great too. Amazing voice.
It went immediately onto my wish list as soon as I saw your comment because I'm obsessed with Orville Peck, who is, I think, is he currently or he just wrapped up being the MC in Cabaret on Broadway. Actually, he was like the newest stunt casting as the MC. Have we gotten you to listen to Orville Peck, Jess?
No, I think this is the first time I remember hearing about it.
Do you like Roy Orbison?
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, then you'll probably like Orville Peck. It's like Roy Orbison, but gay.
Okay, I love the name Unrighteous Brothers.
Well, I think the whole thing is I think they formed this little mini supergroup just to cover some Righteous Brothers songs. So I think that's why they called themselves the Unrighteous.
There's open source. Oh, whoa. AS getting into the weeds. There's open source software you can load called Rockbox to use on it with all types of file formats. Wow.
I often say the day that Apple Music stops supporting MP3s and like I can't use Apple Music / iTunes anymore, that will be the day that I go slowly and fade away into the West. My whole life is predicated. I have the same iTunes play counts and the same like iTunes database that I started in 2003. I don't know how to live without it. It's been part of my life for 22 years. And if they ever sunset Apple Music, I don't know what will happen to me.
Yeah. Wow. Lance, I always feel a bit of guilt when I get into a creator because of their death or after their death, which is silly of me. That's a normal thing, though, I think, Lance. Just like when Prince passed away and when Michael Jackson passed away, you know, their album sales skyrocket back when albums were actually a thing or CDs or whatever. People, it kind of brings things to the forefront. You're like, oh, yeah, Peter David. Damn it, he just died, but I loved his Hulk. Where is that? And so I think that's pretty normal. So don't feel guilty. Enjoy it. You always wanted to meet Stan Lee. Okay. Also, I was looking at my horror Rex sheet and cannot believe that I've ever asked you that, Krisis. But I cannot believe that I've ever asked you that. But have you ever read a comic that genuinely terrified you, trying to build a peak of horror shelf?
I don't, I enjoy horror, but I think it's so hard to do something that's genuinely scary and not just unsettling, especially in comics because the reader controls the pace. In a horror movie, it's easy for something to scare you because they control the pace and they can speed it up, slow it down, jump scare you. And in a comic book, they really only have the page turn to do that. So I think horror comics for me tend to be more unsettling than scary. Having said that, I'm trying to think. I mean, I recently read, and I feel like I must have talked about it on this stream a few streams ago, The Deviant by Tynion, and that was truly unsettling. And it made me uncomfortable by the end. But I don't know if I could say that it was scary.
I ordered volume 1 and 2 based on your talking about it, along with a bunch of other books that I got a letter from IST this morning. Is there a reason you refused acceptance of this box of comics or something? And I'm like, I never got that box of comics. No, I never refuse. I never refuse you guys anything. What? Send me more. I
would never.
Yeah, and
genuinely scary.
So if I'm answering that, I feel like I would lean towards Cullen Bunn.
He does do good scary.
Yeah, like Harrow County. I really loved Harrow County. I found it unsettling. The Sixth Gun, while it has horror themes and demonic themes, I don't know that it's genuinely scary. It's very thought provoking, but I feel
I
like
have one I just read last week. It's currently ongoing. It's called Plague House, and it's written by, I want to say, Michael Conrad. I know the artist by Dave Chisholm, and it's about like people who are paranormal investigators, but there's clearly something going on. The first issue is just like a perfect first issue, one of those great first issues. So I went to the second issue with a certain amount of skepticism, and the ending of the second issue did genuinely like scare and unsettle me. And I don't know if it's going to be good. It's just a mini series, so I don't know if it. But it did a rare total twist of my guts as I got to the end of the issue, which is really hard to get me in a horror comic. It's called Plague House.
Plague House. Okay.
Who's
Only
that?
two issues out right now. Probably the third issue came out this week or last week. Again, I'm about a month behind right now.
What are you up to, Freddie? What are you up to?
I was just frustrated because I turned on my PC, connected to the Ethernet cable, put two different webcams, and it would not recognize either one. So I turned off the internet, turned it on a few times. The Wi-Fi stopped working. The Ethernet cable kept working even though the Wi-Fi wouldn't turn on. And then, like, suddenly right now, everything turned okay. So I'm like, let me try for Peter's last 5 minutes.
I think.
I mean, you do sound like T-Pain right now.
I sound T-Pain.
It sounds like you're here to come out as an oscillating fan.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that you're actually any better. As much as we love you, I don't know that. Yeah, peace and love.
I understand, Freddie. I feel your pain, especially when it's solo on a stream and my internet is being crappy. I'm like, there's no one else there to talk. It's just me.
Yeah. Wait. What
Well,
was
it was
I?
nice listening to you.
Okay. Well, we heard that.
Oh, great.
Jean Remy, I'll tell you an experience that you can have. Tiny Onion is doing Blue Book, where he's, and I think it's going to be ongoing for a while. The first one was 1961, and the second one was, which was UFO abduction. The second one was, I think, 1947, which is these are written down observations of UFOs. They're not. These are famous stories of UFOs, and so the 1947 one was a U.S. airman that saw lights in the sky. But the cool thing about the 1961 book is it's about Barney and Betty Hill in 1961, and I think it was in New England somewhere, where they got abducted. The book goes into the comic book, the graphic novel. Here it is. Nope, that's 1947. Damn it. I almost pulled it. It recounts, Tiny Onion does a good job recounting what they had to say about their experience. But you read that and then go to YouTube and look for the tapes that were made of that couple under hypnosis. They underwent hypnosis so they could remember everything that happened on the UFO in their abduction. And I'm getting, the hair on my arms is going up right now as I think of Barney Hill's under hypnosis, how he recalled it. It is truly terrifying.
I couldn't finish it.
You couldn't finish it?
No, it was horrible.
You were too scared?
It is genuinely terrifying because he's not acting. He's recalling what he said he went through, and he's legit frightened out of his wits and sobbing and out of breath and scared for his wife, scared for himself. And the other interesting thing is I I like that the book didn't touch on it, but it's a fact that they, it's 1961, still somewhere in America, they're an interracial couple. And the book doesn't, I don't know that the book makes a point of it, but after he passes away, she goes on to have a career as a lecturer on UFOs and things of that nature. And I, but I think it's interesting that people took them seriously when at the time, I don't think in 1961, I don't think there's a state in the Union, I know the South, forget it, but there wasn't a state in the Union at that point that would have given an interracial couple a chance to talk at all. But something about, because I think in 1966 in Virginia here, a couple had to sue, I think.
Loving versus the state of Virginia.
Exactly. Yeah, they had to sue to get for the right to marry interracially, which is incredible to me. But that's 50 years ago that I'm looking. And but my point is that the authorities took them seriously enough that even though they, were just sort of regular people, they weren't high government officials or anything, regular people, an interracial couple, and that didn't normally, that would have played into something, I'm saying, because of the time period. But you listen to that YouTube, and as Freddie said, he couldn't keep going. When you listen to Barney Hill, he is genuinely terrified. And it's a good kind of marriage of a graphic novel and then the recorded message, because you don't really see anything on YouTube. It's just their recording under hypnosis. And so if you read the book and then listen to that YouTube thing, that's going to be peak horror shelf for you. I mean, the hair on my arms is just standing up thinking about it. It is legit frightening.
Tiny Onion and Bun are really masters of comic horrors, and Chip Zdarsky has done a little bit of it, and he's also really good.
Yeah, most of what I think that's been good horror that I've read in the past 5 years is almost all James Tynion. Like 80% or more. And then Cullen Bunn's probably like 10%. Cullen Bunn is kind of hit or miss for me, which I enjoy. I like that I used to hate Cullen Bunn. I remember like in 2012, really? 2013. Well, because he wasn't any good. Because I just feel like Marvel and DC just kept putting him on books that he just didn't really have like a feel for. He was good on Venom. He was good on Aquaman, but like they just hadn't figured out. And then finally when they put him on Magneto at Marvel, it was like, oh, this is what he's good at doing. And then it turned out that he's really just good at I mean, not that he can't write other things, but he's exceptionally gifted at writing horror and villains. And it was kind of like, oh, wow, it took like 6 years to figure out that he's actually the master of this. Now he's got a whole career just doing horror, pretty much. That's like what he does. Yeah. And so now I will always try Cullen Bunn. I know he tries his hardest. I know he tries to craft really interesting stories. And if it doesn't hit for me, it doesn't hit for me. But I enjoy that I've reached a point on him where I'm willing to try over number one. I wish I could get there on everybody. I wish I could feel that way about Jeff Lemire. I wish I could feel that way about all the people that I'm like, about. But Cullen Bunn did get me there, and that's why I give people chances, right? I could have just quit him in 2012, but I just can't quit you. And so I stuck around, and now I'll try anything. Yeah, I can think of a couple. Regression is a really creepy, good, scary book by Cullen Bunn. I can think of a couple. Yeah.
I think, I felt like I could turn around and pull Regression. Damn it!
Even though it's a superhero book, Fear itself, The Fearless, it also has a lot of horror elements. So he's very good. He's very good at it. Doesn't mean he always hits it. Like Unearthed in an Image is not his best work at all. But he's got so many that are top, like Harrow Counting and Six Gun.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I'm sure he has another huge inside him.
Good, thank you. I'm glad I got you addicted to something of trades. Curtis and Epics, yeah, sure, whatever. That's a back to going to leptokurtic. The extremes are more pronounced. Let what the freaking
There's no R. It's Kudik.
Kurtic.
Kurtik. Oh, there is an R.
Oh, there is an R.
Kurtic.
Leptokurtic. Okay. I feel like we're gonna have to use that somehow in the future, responding to something like
The next title of the episode.
yeah, we're gonna have to. There's our topic. Are
I
these
know.
leptokurtic enough?
Our leptokurtic faves.
Okay, we have to. We will be. We're sad to see him go, but Krisis has to leave. Krisis with a K. His website and his YouTube channel are in the description, and he deserves a huge round of applause for all the polling that he's been putting together for the past few months. That is a huge job. When you vote on one of those polls and you see 657 choices, you can thank Crushing Crisis for that, and a small army of helpers too. But we're really lucky to have Crisis in the comic community, and I'm glad you were here tonight. And we will see you again soon.
Just a few short weeks. Yeah.
Soonish.
Well,
yeah.
And get
It's a
some
pleasure.
rest before.
I'm happy to be out of poll. I mean, I love the poll season. Those two polls were quite possibly the biggest project I've ever worked on. The way we did it this year, and I mean, I've worked on road races with 40,000 people in them. I've worked on launching multi-million-dollar SaaS products, but I think those polls may have been the biggest project I've ever completed in my life. And so, go out there, listen to some music, read. Hopefully before Freddie has to go, he can talk a little bit about one of the books in the thumbnail that I wanted to talk about, but I really have to run. But I have it on my shelf too, which is this amazing trans history hardcover, which I talked about in my last haul around the world. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that. But until then, try not to have a crisis unless it is me, and I've got to head out. See ya.
Peace and love. Thanks for being here.
Okay. Well, hopefully I don't cut out. Tell me if I do.
You're fuzzy. Now we're looking at the ceiling.
Because I'm getting a light. Let's see if I get less fuzzy.
You're frozen. Okay.
Better? No?
You're still frozen. Well, yeah. You're frozen right there. What is it? It's trans metropolitan. What's the book? Trans history.
From ancient times to the present day.
Ancient times?
Yeah.
They did that operation in ancient times?
Well, there used to be eunuchs, and people believe that was a probably an ancient version of that. It's
true.
Very hard because we don't have all of the facts from that era, especially because when Christians start doing crusades, a lot of that history is completely lost. So we'll never actually know. But there are a few really incredible moments. Like, I think the book starts off a bit rocky in ancient history because there's just so many gaps. But once we get to like some of the most documented people, like this particular person, Antonio de Erauso, which is a trans man from what year is this? He's a conquistador, 17th century. Once we get to that point, this is 78 pages. There's a lot of history here. Once you get to this, like, it's incredible. It's an incredible journey, the book. So he was a conquistador. I don't know.
Wait a sec. I did not rant about it, Andrew. That wasn't a rant. I feel like a rant is usually negative. But if you you did say it, I thought you said it. Did you say it right before I think I was speechifying. I don't think I was ranting. But keep going, Freddie.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that really shocked me, even knowing a bunch of history beforehand. Like there's this person called Carl M. Barr, who was the first person recognized for a sex change in Berlin in 1931, nearly 100 years ago. The first person
Wow.
that was like accepted by a government. And beforehand, there used to be people that were kind of recognized and even by the church because they were intersex. So it's incredible how a bunch of doctors and biologists and even later therapists like just started diagnosing people intersex because they knew that would get them accepted as trans because those were the only terms that like governments and the church would allow to like dress differently. Um, and then the first person to get a from a vulva to a penis was because this is very interesting because it was a surgeon from World War I that did this. Like he had a lot of experience reconstructing penises out like during the war. So he
Oh,
was able to perform this surgery, and the year was 1942.
wow.
So that's incredible. Unfortunately, the person that got the operation, as well as the person I was talking about earlier, Antonia, they're trans men, and trans men tend to be very toxic masculine. Like toxic masculinity, they're very overt. This happens a lot, sadly, but yeah. So it's an incredible book. There's a lot that I didn't know, and even what I knew, shocked me. Like I don't know if you know about this person, very famous, the Professor Magnum Hirschfeld. He was the person that ran the sex. What is it called specifically? It was like a sex center in Berlin in 1930s Germany. They were the first victims of the Nazi book burning.
Oh, wow.
And he was an incredible person that traveled the world researching cultures and getting he was the most famous sex therapist at the time, and he focused a lot on gay culture, on trans culture. You know he was like a little sanctuary, a little refuge in the world, a beacon of light, and just expanding knowledge. Like he had an incredibly famous book, and that's why it gets burned by the Nazis. So there's so much history that was lost when that institute like burned down, and they even claimed he died when he didn't, which was very funny and sad. I thought he actually did die because of that propaganda that they claimed he died. He didn't. He wrote a movie afterwards.
He what?
He wrote a movie afterwards.
Oh.
It's the first movie that portrayed a gay person in a positive light. That
Okay.
was 1990. Like was it? Yeah, it says here 1919. But so the movie was basically lost to the times as well. It was refound in 2011.
Okay.
You can find it now. It has one of the phrases here. Only ignorance or bigotry can condemn those who feel differently. Don't despair. As a homosexual, you can still make valuable contributions to humanity. That was 100 years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I lost I thought I marked it. The first person that got a from a penis to a vulva. That was before the operation that I said the year. I don't know where I lost that actually. I marked it. Oh, I did mark it. It's over here. Okay, yeah. So the first person to get documented to get a vulva and a vagina was in 1931. Again, 100 years ago. So a lot of people claim this is all modern thinking, is modern things. Like this book starts off way before from Sumeria.
Okay.
And all of the modern history, like there's a bunch of people that got sensationalized in the tabloids that were like people like Jerry Springer show and stuff like that used to portray these people to kind of mock them, but they were always willing to appear on national television because, of course, it let people know that these were real things. These were real emotions. People have fought really things. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, so this book is really incredible. Like, especially once you get to modern history. Like, maybe this is the person I was talking about that became really famous.
I remember that name, Christine Jorgensen. Yeah.
I think the headline was from GI to Babe.
I definitely remember that name growing up.
Yeah, because she was conventionally attractive. Hormone surgery changes 26 man into woman. XGI is happy as doctors in Denmark change his sex. XGI becomes blonde beauty. These were actual headlines from the time.
I believe it.
Yeah. So it's it's both very heartwarming to know that people were able to live happy lives, but also very sad knowing what we're currently going through right now. Like today, not to bring the news into this, but today's Supreme Court knocked down puberty blockers for kids, for adolescents, and thing about this is it's going to hurt a lot of people because we are already living through time that's fear mongering them and trying to erase them from existence and take away their right to exist. And it sounds like exaggerating, but it's really not. When you're telling someone you can't go to either bathroom, when you're telling people you can't play any sports, when you're telling people you can't be out in public dressed that way, you're basically saying you can't exist. So I think it's very good knowing the past and knowing some of these things did happen. Like this is very 100 years ago, these rights were coming out in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
These
Okay.
things, were progressing, and now we've taken so many steps back, but we can't take those steps again if we don't start scapegoating people. If we don't allow, if we stand by people, I think a lot about how, like I was saying, one of the last shows I did with you, Jess, I was saying I was very happy to be able to share with you because I love you as a creator. People don't expect you to be such a positive person, just such an accepting person, and I think that's something. And I don't mean this as they look at you and they think, oh no, I mean as a comic web creator, people have certain expectations. Like he's a man, he's gonna be, just doing Ruby reviews, but that's not your point. Your point isn't to destroy books; it's to share positivity and sometimes be a little ridiculous and be a little fun. And yeah, I'm in awe of you as a person, and I think
Thanks.
more people should. I don't know if you would ever call it this, but I see you as a person that has like radical acceptance of people.
I never really thought about it before.
Yeah.
I've never seen how it affects me. I'm happy to let somebody else live their life. My philosophy is live and let live. Treat people like you want to be treated, and I don't see how anything LGBTQ plus affects me. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't understand. I don't see the negative impact on me. I just don't. I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't. I've never really thought about it, except recently. Maybe like you and Kristen would maybe bring it to my attention, and or some. I think you and Kristen tend to have smaller publisher titles than I had been exposed to, and I had never really focused on thinking about anything like that, and I still don't know whether I should think positive or negative or anything, but just how is it my business, really?
Exactly.
And I really want. I'm gonna. Sorry. Peace and love is what I usually end with, but I really want to start saying treat people like you want to be treated. It's a very simple
Yeah.
thing that nobody does. I mean, a lot of people in this community do. Well, I appreciate you, Kane. Thank you for that. That's nice. I do appreciate you. Yeah. Yes. It seems to me to be so simple. Just why would you go out of your way to not be nice to somebody? You wouldn't like that, somebody treating you that way. If you don't like somebody, ignore them. Just leave. Don't read the book, don't watch the movie, don't interact with the person.
Like,
you don't have to go out of your way to make them feel bad. Just
to make their life literally pain and feel torturous. Like, I don't know, did you ever get to watch the Will Ferrell documentary with Will and Harper?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, so Will Ferrell's one of Will Ferrell's best friends was a writer in SNL, and she came out as trans very late in her life, like I think even post 60s, maybe like pushing 70s. So she came out trans later in life, and Will decides that he wants to document, his acceptance of his friend, and taking a road trip, because she used to take road trips all across the country, and she was afraid of doing of going back to do this cross country trip and being perceived as this trans person, like clearly trans person, because older in life, transitioning, you're less likely to pass. So she was afraid, and Will decides, I'm a very beloved public figure. I will go with you, and I will help you do this last journey. And while they're doing it, they're talking about how she always felt this way, that she was hiding who she was, the pain going through it all, and just the acceptance of everybody, and how positive like that's turned her. And that's how like HRT is, like, that's getting blocked, is life-saving medication, basically. How does it affect you that somebody else is taking HRT? Not at all. And yet for them, it's life or death. Not being able to express yourself. Like, imagine if somebody tried to like make it so you couldn't be punk back in the day. If somebody told you, you couldn't be, it wasn't socially accepted you to be with Patty. It wasn't like, this empathy, this thing called empathy is so lacking, as well as nuance. Yeah, and I'm going through a rant right now. I apologize. I just wasn't able to talk the whole show. And
yeah, I get it. Yeah, and you barely have dropped out, so that's good.
Okay. Yeah, but you definitely should watch Will and Harper. It's on Netflix, and Pee-wee as himself on a.
Yeah.
Like, those are my two suggestions. I think you and Patty will actually enjoy it. Like, it's a good family watch. My mom loved both of them.
Well, I know my wife's going to love the Pee Wee Herman show, the Pee Wee Herman documentary, because that's how we spent our early married and together years, watching Pee Wee's Playhouse and eating Fruity Pebbles in bed. So, and then we'd watch Winnie the Pooh. So she's a big fan of Pee Wee. So I know she's going to dig that. But I want to cover, this is something really interesting from Kane. This also opens the discussion of emotional intelligence, which you can read extensive on by Daniel Goleman. Basically, there are several aspects to EIEQ, with the foundation being self-awareness. Self-awareness is the understanding of your own emotions and their effects on others. With self-regulation, you are able to communicate your feelings in a constructive way. Now, there are two other aspects, or three, depending on the branching research, the former being community awareness and community regulation, and the latter being motivation, empathy, and social skills.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot to know, Kane. That's really cool.
Yeah, and going a bit circle back, I want to mention one of my favorite moments in the Pee-wee documentary is there's an actress, I completely forgot her name. She used to be on the Groundlings with Pee-wee, and she talks about their time, and she says, "Oh, I had a crush on Paul Rubens, and I think he had a crush on me." And I'm like, the level of narcissism to believe a gay man has a crush on you is just amazing.
Who is the woman?
I can't remember. She was an actress that used to also be on the Ground Legs with Paul Rubens.
But it's in the documentary?
Yeah, like you'll see her. You'll probably recognize her.
Is it possible she was ignorant of the fact that Paul was...
No, because a lot, because when the documentary is being done, it's basically a matter of fact at this point. Even though some of them he has officially come out, like they know it as a fact. Especially this person that was around him very much near when he was kind of like still in and out during that phase. But I want to combine that with what Kane's saying, like the narcissism. All of this is going on with AI, ChatGPT, where we're losing touch with other people. Where Zuckerberg wants us to have a bunch of fake AI friends instead of like real friends. We stopped listening to other people. We stopped taking a different perspective. Like someone earlier said that me and Peter were disagreeing or fighting, and I was like, no, we have different views about things. That doesn't mean we're being contrary to one another. I think nuance and layers like adds up and makes us better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we're really in fear of losing. Like when we lose public spaces, when we lose libraries, when people are talking to chat instead of people, it's crazy. So I love that we have a chat. I love that you do this show, that you have people, that you listen to them, and that you're very much smart, Jess. I love what you have to say, and that's why I've been a subscriber for so long.
No, that's so nice. Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that.
I couldn't say it earlier because I kept dropping out, but I felt bad with saying that people are more eloquent than you. Like, no, I think there is a magic to what you say and how you express and the emotion you add to it. Something again you don't get with a chat that's just a chat GPT that's just regurgitating things.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh, you teach it, Kane. Okay, very interesting. Is that sociology? Is that under what it would be underneath, or is it psychology? Which is the which would that be? Communities like these are very important. Yeah, actually, this is like my whole community. Yeah. This is it, and I'm because I don't have any friends around here that are into comic books, and I don't have friends that I play golf with anymore either. So, I mean, the parasocial relationship thing is something I'm still navigating, even though I've had the channel for so long. I'm still kind of navigating it, but I'm going to be seeing, I feel like I'm going to be seeing at least 30. It feels like 30 people that I know virtually tomorrow and day after tomorrow at Heroes Con. So it's as much as I try to navigate it online, I've made a lot of real life good friendships out of it. Like Very Fine Condition and I are good friends. I know Peter. I just missed meeting Peter before he moved to New Zealand. I'm, Taylor and Tyler, both friends that I've met in person. Riley. So I don't have any. Sometimes I have communication issues with. It's hard to communicate sometimes with people that are just in the chat or in Discord. It's easier to talk to you like this, and that's how I knew Taylor and Tyler and I would be friendly, just like I know you and I would be friendly if we ever met in person. But I think I know enough about the people that are going to be at Heroes Con that I'm not really worried about meeting them. I've had enough experience with everybody in the chat and in Discord that they seem to have good hearts and just want good comics. That's really all I want. That's all I ever wanted to do was just get on this channel and recommend good comics. And it turns out that it's been a great outlet for me socially. I teach it as a part of communications we share and receive as a society and how it affects the work culture. While I'm an educational content developer, I still teach in my company. Interesting. Very interesting. I know we'd be friends too. You're a good guy. The people we meet are meant to enrich our lives for the better or provide lessons to learn and experience. Every encounter we have makes us better as a community. Jean Remy, this channel and this community has been great. These past few days have been really hard for me. Oh, this stream was able to cheer me up for a while. Remy, there is no pain as somebody that's lost 3 dogs. The most recent one 2 years ago. I understand your pain so much. A non-pet owner cannot understand what a pet owner goes through after bonding with a dog or a cat or whatever your pet is, especially a dog that has dogs can have such personalities, and you connect with them like that. You bond with them over that, and to lose your childhood pet, that's devastating. So I'm really sorry to hear that. Really sorry.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that we were able to provide you a little relief. That's a pain. I don't know if I can go through it again, but I'm getting choked up just thinking about losing my own dogs. It means so much to me. But it's a good trade when you think about it. You get like 10 or 15 years of nothing but pure love, and the pain you get at the end, you have to be willing to go through it in exchange for that love that is unconditional.
I mean, I will sound like a nerd, but I'm quote WandaVision. What is pain if not love persevering?
Oh yeah, what's that from?
I think it's loss. What is loss? It's not. Yeah, it's from WandaVision.
WandaVision. Pain persevering, right.
Yeah. I think
Wait, who said that? Is that Vision that said that?
That's Vision that says it, yeah.
Yeah.
And
say it again?
I think it is what is grief if not love persevering?
Okay.
It's ultimately also an expression of love, even though it hurts, it's a good thing that you went through all these memories. Happiness is like the shortest emotion you feel. It's gone in a second, but that euphoria, that going back to that moment when you were happy, it'll get you through a bunch of things.
Oh, right. What is grief if not love persevering? Yeah, that's a good quote.
And Archie is your mask, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Archie is immortalized in the community, and gave you a persona. Like Archie is still gifting you things.
That's true. Oh God, don't, Freddie. You're gonna really make me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you cry.
Yeah. Wow. And that's why I've never changed my avatar either, because I like having it be him. Okay.
Yeah, so everyone going to Heroes Con, and if you're not going, you should go get Reed's book at his table if you're going to Heroes Con, and if not, go to Microcosm, which sent me this very nice little Pride pamphlet and the sticker. So
sticker.
Yeah, so go to Microcosm if you're not going to Heroes Con and get Reed's book, Hardcore Happiness, a graphic journey to punk's positivity, and of course, if you like. You're a fan of historical comics, right, Jess?
Oh yeah. I love history.
Yeah, this is a really good book to pick up as well. It's very funny because one of my friends came out as trans recently, and I was having a conversation with her. I was so excited while I was reading this book. She calls me and I start talking about it. She's like, "Why are you mansplaining stuff to me?" I'm like, "No, I'm not trying to mansplain. I'm just really excited."
Mansplain. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till I go to Heroes to get Reed's book, and I think I might ask for a sketch in it. I have something in mind. Yeah, I definitely want to get it signed.
Yeah. Oh man, but I definitely like. There are some documentaries that are just a bunch of they're just entertainment, kind of like reality TV. But man, it's because I've talked about it so much. The Pee Wee one and the Will and Harper. Like, oh man, the human element to all of it. Like, I really think everyone should watch those. They're funny. They're light, even though they deal with some really tough topics at times.
Yeah, I agree. Remy, I want to make sure you know you didn't bring the mood down
No.
at all. What's getting me choked up is thinking about. I love thinking about my dogs, but you didn't bring the mood down.
No.
I wouldn't be this way if I hadn't gotten the unconditional love from both of those dogs. So it's I'm sad that they're not around, but I get it. You don't get forever with them or with each other. So it's definitely you definitely didn't bring the mood down. It's just my emotions are always very close to the surface as I wept all the way through my therapy session this morning. She could tell you. YP, dang, wish I could make it to HeroesCon to meet everyone. Oh, I think Kane has convinced me. I don't think I would last at NYCC very long, YP. It sounds really too crowded for me. I would love to go, but HeroesCon is a lot less. It may have as many people, but it never felt very crowded to me 2 years ago. Yeah. So, boy, NYCC sounds like it's elbow to elbow. And Kane knows me pretty well by now. I think she has told me I probably wouldn't survive it that well. I think Heroes is probably. There's no way I could go to San Diego.
Oh no. Besides, I think San Diego is all celebrity at this point, and I'm not sure like how it is in NYCC.
I feel like it's been I feel like Kane has described it to me as kind of elbow to elbow, and that's
but in question of like creators and stuff.
Oh, well, it's full of great creators. That's one of the. I think if I'm not, if I mean, I may be wrong, but I think that's like the number 2 to San Diego con. I think New York's probably the biggest, second biggest, and most important. And for creators, maybe it's more important than San Diego, since you said what you said, how San Diego's become more celebrity driven.
Yeah, like this year there isn't a huge Marvel panel, but usually it's where people like launch TV shows, movies now.
Yeah, I thought they were getting away from that, but it sounds like they're going. Are they going back towards that?
Yeah, I don't think Marvel's going back. I think Disney's starting to have like a presence there again, and other studios as well, because all of them have tried to do like their own thing and to some degree of success.
Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. Wait a minute. Is this a manga? Yarn? This looks suspiciously manga-y to me.
Show us who recommended the manga.
Yarn did it.
Oh.
It's by.
Oh yeah, that does look very manga.
What's that say?
That could be a manga, like a Korean manga.
Graphic adaptation. Oh, okay. It's. Wait a minute. Is this manga? No. It looks like it goes regular Western. Oh, it looks pretty interesting. It does have. Don't worry about what. I worry if it's manga because I can't read manga.
Literally, the Wikipedia says the first thing it says: "A Distant Neighborhood" is a Japanese manga by Hiro Taniguchi.
But it looks like it goes Western style. See, I can't. It's not. I can't read manga, Yarn. Seriously. As lovely as it looks, is it a side scroller type? Not side scroller. Is it? It's left to right. Wait, is that good or is left to right Western? Left to right. So, and if it's right to left, okay. So that sounds like I can read it. Okay, that's good. Yeah, NYCC is packed with people, but somehow I keep running into this Walmart guy everywhere. That's funny.
It is funny.
I was thinking about NYCC this year, but when I heard so many community members going to HeroesCon, I chose that instead. Maybe next year. Okay, well, I actually have to prepare for the imminent arrival of my wife and her sister, and I haven't. I have to do one more cleanup related thing before they get here. I just realized. So, Freddie, right now you're probably the best you've sounded all night in the past 3 hours, and of course it's at the end of the show. Your picture is absolutely clear, and you're not stuttering at all. And wow, at least you got to do. You got to tell us about.
Trans history from ancient times to modern times. I
Yeah,
have a
there we
soft cover. Peter has the hardcover, and apparently it also opens up really nicely. So you should definitely check it out. Like, this is again an incredible book, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Pee Wee as himself and Will and Harvey.
Oh yeah.
Like, check out those documentaries.
Okay. Thank you to everybody for watching us. We'll be back again next month, possibly on the proper day, but you never know. I think we'll probably, since Peter doesn't have all the polls to do, we'll probably be back on the second Tuesday. And Super Laugh Hard, buddy. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Peace and love, and please treat other people as you would like to be treated.
Mm-hmm. And if you got to this point, leave a comment saying how funny or how bad it was that I lost so much internet, yet I kept being on the stream.
I know. Peter was coming up with some gold filling in for you. You should watch it back just to hear what he was saying.
I can't watch myself, but I never lost you guys for a second.
That's funny because he was filling in just really funny.
You guys were perfect for me the entire time. Like, usually when I drop out, you guys get a little pulse, like pixelated stuff. No.
Okay, so I will play us out with my theme song. I look forward to seeing everybody at Heroes, and I will see everybody back here next week. And be good to each other. Treat your others like you want to be treated. Peace and love, and love you all. Thank you, and thank you, Freddie, for being on tonight.
Thank you, and for your patience.
No worries.